This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, and alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
May the fourth be with you guys.
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
It's a miracle. For the first time in 2 years, Ricky Widmer did not say, what's up, what's up.
What's up, guys?
And for that,
Yeah, you got what you deserve right there.
And I was grateful. But anyways, today we are going to have a boatload of topics for you. We're going to be talking about David Fizdale and can he bring LeBron to the New York Knicks. Then we're going to go into our Wet Boys for the playoffs. It's week 3 of playoff Wet Boys. Then we're going to go to the NBA draft and what Igor Kokoskov, been trying on the pronunciation for about an hour now.
Yep.
Igor Kokoskov means for the Suns draft. Then we're going to go over to Kawhi Leonard. Again, Ricky just wrote an article on the website. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to finish it up with our NBA Draft Lottery 2018 predictions. It's been something we've been doing for the past 3 years. And we're going to try to look into our crystal ball. But before we do that, go over to iTunes and rate us 5 stars. Not only the Fast Break, but the Onside Kick, the Primetime Podcast, the Rick and Johnny Podcast. And I said all of them, Onside Kick and the Fast Break.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all the ones on iTunes. Outcasts are not on iTunes yet, but you can find all of their videos, all their podcasts on the site, mostvaluablepodcast.com, and on YouTube. And while you're on Most Valuable Podcast, head over to the shop and buy yourself some MVP merch. We have the MVP merch, or the MVP t-shirt
I gotta
up
bust
on
that
the
out
store
next
as well.
week.
Yeah, I think we got to start wearing that a little bit more.
Should
But anyways,
we all wear it?
No. We're not going to pull a Buzz and Juice. Even though I love them. Even though I love them, they did an all-MVP shirt.
We've never had a fast break where every single one of us
should
wore the
For
shirt.
good reason. But let's jump into the first topic. That's going to be David Fizdale and the hire of David Fizdale for the New York Knicks. And we're talking, can he bring LeBron to the New York Knicks? And if he can't, what is this team going to look like with the New York Knicks in 2018-2019 and how David Fizdale can run that? So let's start off. Obviously, LeBron and Fizdale have some connections. Fizdale was an assistant coach on the Miami Heat team when LeBron was over there. And LeBron, when Fizdale was fired from the Memphis Grizzlies job, tweeted out, "I need some answers. It feels like my man was a fall guy." And also he said, he spoke out about it the next day saying, maybe that's what it was because because I know he ain't gonna kiss nobody's ass. I know that. So LeBron and David Fizdale do have a connection, and now this hiring, does it really put them in the right spot to go after LeBron James, Dave?
I mean, I think it puts them in a better spot than they were before, because before they had virtually 0%. I'm not gonna be totally honest in that, but basically you moved yourself up into the realm. There's a reason why he could go there. He and Fizdale, good connection, like you said, from Miami. I think they still are pretty close. David Fizdale mentioned they still talk, they still keep up. So I think, yes, having somebody who you can respect as a head coach would be a nice change of pace for LeBron as he's coming off of Ty Lue, who doesn't do anything. And I honestly think that...
Except for bench George Hill. I mean, was that LeBron?
That was LeBron.
That was LeBron,
Don't
let's be honest.
any credit you want to give Ty Lue, just know he got stepped over.
The coach, the GM, the mayor, the owner, he's everything in Cleveland.
Well, he drew up that play so that they could go to overtime against the Raptors and win that game. He also did that.
LeBron?
Ty Lue.
Oh.
No, Ty Lue, because the
It
game
was
winner didn't go
literally
in.
the worst play I've ever seen drawn up in my life. I don't want to go on a rant.
But Ricky, coming back to Fizdale, what does the coaching mean to LeBron James? Do you think that's going to play into a factor? Because we know that LeBron's whole thing is he wants to think about life after basketball. He wants to go to a younger team. That's what we've been hearing about the free agent, or he wants to play with a star. That's why Houston's been in there. Those are the thoughts. But do you think coaching is going to play a factor into this? Because he hasn't really had a great coach in Cleveland so far with Ty Lue. David Blatt really hasn't been getting along with those guys.
How I feel about this is that David Fizdale's great. David Fizdale, the coach of the Knicks. I love the move on that side. Does this hire bring LeBron James to the Knicks? Not a fat chance.
Does it move the needle, though?
Not at all.
So it was 0% and still 0%.
The reason why I say that is maybe I'm crazy for saying this, but not looking at coaching, because yes, Fizdale is a step up than Ty Lue in my mind. Look at the Cavs team. We're complaining right now that, LeBron, they're playing up in some games. JR had a good game. Kyle Korver had a good game. But overall this season, it's, wow, this cast of characters hasn't been what LeBron's used to. You think you're going to get anything better than that in New York? No, you're not.
But
you're going to be, instead of JR and Korver and TT and Love, it's going to be Tim Hardaway Jr. and Enes Kanter.
Well, also, Courtney Lee, I don't know if you heard of a guy named Kristaps Porzingis, pretty
He's
damn
sorta
good.
okay.
Well, Porzingis, too, we don't know. First off, he's going to miss most of the season because usually the ACL's a year long. That'll be like February, and we don't know what he's going to be like coming back.
To be fair,
we don't
NBA
know what the
regular
Knicks'
season,
record
like,
is going to
he
be
can come
like
back
at that
fed.
point.
And also Frank Ntilikina. But,
Yeah.
and also we don't know what the record's going to be, but if they have LeBron James, I think it's going to be pretty decent. And as long as you're in the playoffs, we've seen that LeBron James could do a decent amount of damage.
If LeBron James is going to, like, here's what I think. If LeBron James is going to stay in the East, he's either staying in Cleveland or he's going to Philly.
Ooh.
If he doesn't stay in the East, he's going to Houston. Those are the big three. LA is still an option, but it's a small option.
And one thing I also want to throw in there with the Knicks, too, they have Kristaps, they have Frank Ntilikina, they have some role players in Tim Hardaway Jr., Enes Kanter, and Courtney Lee, and then also they still do have that top 10 pick. So not only could they draft a young player to put around LeBron, there also is that big name of Kawhi Leonard floating around that they could go after. And if they move some cap, let's say a Joakim Noah, or hey, maybe they already try to move a guy like Tim Hardaway because he is a role player and while he hasn't been bad, maybe if they're trying to free up cap space, they could even go after Paul George. I'm just saying, like, New York isn't the team, like the team that you see right now or the team that you saw last year isn't the team that's going to be out there next year.
Yeah.
I feel like right now with the Knicks where it's like, first off, with the whole Kawhi thing, I know with my article, the Knicks were one of those teams because Kawhi said he wanted to go to a big market, or the Spurs fear that he might want that. The thing I feel like with a Knicks-Spurs trade is the big hinging factor is the number 9 overall pick, and that's what's going to do it. However, is this team, let's say Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron James are your big 3, is that going to be able to compete with Philly? Is that going to be able to compete with a Celtics team that right now, without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, are playing better than we would have thought, and they're getting that experience and could possibly be the best coach team in the East?
Did you just ask if a trio of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and LeBron James could take down the Boston Celtics?
Let's
Or
put it
Philly?
this way. LeBron James is playing great.
Okay.
PG did not look good this playoffs. Did not
He had
look
a couple
like
good games.
playoff
And also,
P.
let's put a-
maybe like
let's
one
put a-
game of playoff P.
Let's put a facilitator like
and
LeBron
then
James next to him.
Kawhi Leonard has basically taken an entire year off.
Okay, but he was also an MVP candidate before. He's probably the best two-way player in the NBA. And also, hold on. I know he's not healthy.
The other thing into
that's
this
gonna make,
is-
hold on. That's going to make your fourth option a guy named Kristaps Porzingis, who is one of the best young big men in the league. So, weirdly enough, I'm going to take the team with LeBron, Paul George, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kawhi Leonard.
But here's why
out of any team,
Here's why I'm going to tell you it's
Western
not,
or Eastern.
Here's why I'm going to tell you it's not going to happen though.
Yeah.
And you mentioned him.
It's
Kristaps
not gonna happen.
Porzingis.
No.
It's not going to happen because LeBron's not going to sign just a 1-year deal. Paul George isn't going to sign just a 1-year deal. Really, the only one out of that 3 who's done after a year is Kawhi. And after next season, you got to start re-signing KP, and KP's going to want some money.
Okay,
Or going to be earned
that's
some
fair.
money.
But one thing that I'll just throw out there, and again, I'm not looking at contracts right now. I'm just throwing out the fact that, again, Kristaps is on such a small contract that you could possibly
rookie
make those
deals,
four
He's
work.
got 4.5 this year, 5.6 next year.
Wouldn't you say that having a title in New York, the first time since 1973, would be fine if you aren't going to have Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Kristaps? If you're not going to have those big 4 around, if you're able to get a title out of it, wouldn't it be worth it for New York in the first year? In 40 plus years, not having a title, bringing a title back home finally, having LeBron's first year again. This is because we're throwing out a team of
hypotheticals.
Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Kristaps Porzingis, and LeBron James. Again, it's not going to happen. But if it somehow happens, I think it's worth it for New York if
it's a
they
one
get
and
those.
done.
Exactly.
It would be worth it if you can
And you still get LeBron James.
It'd be worth it if you can get all 3. But I think the only one you get is LeBron. And the reason why I say that is, Joakim Noah, they're looking to get that salary off the books. But you still have Enes Kanter, who is probably going to accept his player option. He'll come back at 18.6.
Yeah.
You also have Tim Hardaway Jr.
Well, I was saying they trade Tim Hardaway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that the Spurs are going to want Tim Hardaway Jr. They'll say, fuck it, we'll keep Kawhi. Thanks for offering
But
us
it's also
the
the
trade.
ninth pick.
I know. I think the Spurs in the end go, thanks, but no thanks. We'll keep Kawhi because we don't need to trade him at this point. So you got Tim Hardaway Jr. at 17.3 next year. Courtney Lee's at 12.2. I don't think there's going to be enough room to sign PG. There's
of course
not going to be enough to get the trade for Kawhi. LeBron's the only one you're getting.
Again, like we're saying that everything has to go right for the Knicks for this to happen.
Yeah.
Again, we're not saying this is going to be the team.
Oh, I know.
But I'm just saying.
I'm saying
like,
it's not going to. But I'm saying.
Again,
there's a potential for it happening.
pathways.
LeBron literally traded an entire team away mid-season.
Not Kobe Element. LeBron did.
Yeah.
I'm just
also,
saying,
different management, different team, though. The management in Cleveland's not the same management in New York.
it's arguably better than the management in New York. I'm just saying.
I mean, the owner is not as good as the one in Cleveland, but the management that they brought in to replace Phil Jackson, I would say, is better than Cleveland.
I don't know about that. I would not put my money on that. But my point being,
I mean, they're
it's
both
the
in
NBA.
their first year. It's hard to judge.
Players are heavily tradable. And as we come up to the draft, that number 9 pick gets juicier and juicier for teams. I just think that treating it like it's the only reason is basketball reasons, like, there's a reason Carmelo Anthony chose New York. It was not for basketball reasons. It was because it's the Mecca. It was because he could be a superstar, grow his brand, grow himself as a player, and like honestly, like be the face of the NBA. LeBron already is the face of the NBA, but now it's in that fight of like him, Steph. Pretty much those two guys are up at the top. Obviously KD there too, but like he can go to the Mecca, play, and if he can bring them close to or a championship, like. I don't even like that would be insane for
And
New
here's
York.
the thing that just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Every single team, so every single one that I said he could go to, except the Cavs, I'll keep them out of it. Go to Philly, New York. Which one seems like a better option? I'm taking Philly. If
Are
I'm
you
LeBron,
talking roster-wise?
I'm talking LeBron adding me to that
of course.
team.
Yeah.
Go to
No
Philly.
one's arguing that.
I know. Then you
We're
look
talking
at,
about the potential
I
of
know.
New York.
Then you look at Houston. I'm going to go to Houston because I can be added with James Harden, CP3, and all that. I would even say that LeBron would look at the Lakers and the Knicks and go, you know what? There's more money in LA. If I want to play with PG-13, I can just bring both of us to LA. Plus, we got the young kids out there doing okay their first year. Kyle Kuzma really showed up this year. We didn't expect that. But, I mean, that could be a better option of getting maybe all three of the guys we're talking about to LA before the Knicks.
And that's fine. And again, it's just throwing it out there that how much will coaching play into this. And also, again, like if you're taking in, the market size, I think LeBron, again, New York is clearly a bigger market than LA. LA's not, small in comparison though.
Yeah.
And also LeBron has probably, I think, more connections out in LA than he does in New York.
He's got a home in LA.
But yeah, exactly. But the thing is, again, going back, how much will coaching play into it? If we're saying that, again, we're not saying that this means that LeBron's going to New York. Again,
But it might move the needle a little bit.
I think
they went from 0 to maybe 5%.
See, I don't think
I think it moves
does
the
at
needle.
all.
Again, it's moving the needle because it has a plus over something. It has the biggest market. It has a ton of fans, a loyal fan base, and it also has a coach that trust, and have worked with before. He's never worked with Luke Walton before. He's never worked with Mike D'Antoni before. He's never worked with Brett Brown before. He has that relationship already built with David Fizdale. That's the only reason why I think it moves the needle a little bit. You have to compare these teams. You have to compare what they're going to bring to you. And New York's offering exactly what you need for growing your brand and growing your business and growing your life after basketball, which is something that he's very fond of. And then also it gives you that at least comfortability of being with a coach that you've worked with before. Again, I'm not saying it moves the needle where they're the front runners.
Yeah, I think it
puts them in the
like
conversation.
You said, it depends on what LeBron's priorities really are at this point in his career. If he's trying to do things and set himself up for after basketball, I could see why he could look at New York seriously. If he's trying to win a championship right now, New York's probably not his best chance to do that. So I think we can't read his mind, but I think David Fizdale coming to New York is still huge for the team, even regardless of LeBron.
I think, though, that a player like LeBron, no matter what, his goal is to win a championship because that's everyone's goal each and every year.
But I think that there's also some potential in New York just looking at the roster. Again, they have some bad contracts. Joakim Noah obviously stands out there, but you still have some good role players. Again, Tim Hardaway, even though he has a massive contract, still a good role player. Courtney Lee, a good role player. And you have two young players. Again, Kristaps is obviously dealing with the injury, but we know what he can do when he's healthy. And Frank Ntilikina, I know some people are like, oh, he didn't show anything his first rookie year. New country, new city, new culture, new coach, new everything to this kid. Give him time to grow.
Yeah.
So, again, we don't know what those two guys are. Still a lot of potential in those. And you also have that 9th pick, whether you keep it or not. You're still going to be drafting a guy. If you keep it, you're going to be drafting a kid that's going to be able to grow. But let's just move to Fizdale now in New York because we got to talk about that a little bit because, again, we're saying that LeBron is at most a 5% chance of coming to New York. So what does Fizdale bring to New York that you either like or you dislike, Ricky?
The thing that I relate this to is it's kind of the same thing that I said about Baker Mayfield going to Cleveland. Where when I said, oh, Baker Mayfield gets drafted by Cleveland, great pick for them. He's going to fit in with that kind of culture in there. David Fizdale is a coach that's going to fit in with the culture in New York. Like, think about back with the Grizzlies, the whole take that for data stuff, everything that Fizdale, like his attitude about things, it fits in with New York. It fits in with what New Yorkers are because it's kind of like that, hey, you're going to punch us in the mouth? We're going to punch you in the mouth right back kind of a city, and he's going to fit in. That's why this hire, I love it because the fans are going to expect that kind of coaching on their players because that's the type of city that they are.
I think that you're pretty much spot on, except that like half-hearted attempt to do a New Yorker accent, which I'm glad you bailed on.
I wasn't trying. I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, but I think you're right though. Like he has a toughness, he has an edge, and that's what he needs to bring to this team because they're a team who pretty much in the last couple of years have been in like they were just in a really rough place because you're stuck with Carmelo Anthony, and then it was the Phil Jackson drama. And, we're a triangle team. Phil's doing Phil things, passing out practice. Like, they've had so much drama around the team that I think Fizdale's kind of a no-nonsense guy who's going to be like, this is about basketball. This is what's important here. None of this other shit really matters. So I'm really hopeful for what he can do and bring in that defense because you have KP, who is long as hell. You have Frank, who defensively is amazing already.
Was probably the second best, at least, prospect defensively coming out of that draft class last year. Isaac being one with his versatility.
Exactly, and then building up a Moutier. Like there are guys in this team who you can see growing forward, and I think he is a good guy who can be a mentor to a lot of these players and kind of make the direction of the team go in the right direction, and actually go towards a playoff chance. Because honestly, with this whole I'm so sick of the triangle, and I just think that New York is going to love the fact they don't have to run the triangle, never have to hear about the triangle ever again, and we are done with that shit.
Well, it's a new regime, and I think looking at this hire, I think it's honestly a perfect fit for New York because when we think of New York, we think of New York as pretty much the city in the United States as kind of the cut. Even though we're from Chicago, I think LA will probably throw some out there. New York has always been the city. That's what people think of when they're thinking of a city in the United States. They think of New York. Yeah. It sets the culture for the United States. It sets the culture for sports. And New York has been so backwards, at least when it comes to basketball, and really, outside of the Yankees, just in general, they've been so backwards outside of 2 years for the Giants.
I wouldn't talk too much smack about that right now, Sean.
I'm just saying, outside of some luck for the Giants and outside of the Yankees, because obviously the best franchise in baseball ever, obviously there's been some bad luck. And I think this is probably the hire that will at least push the culture in the right direction. Because, you mentioned it, Ricky, he's got the mindset that you need for New York, but also he's on the cutting edge when it comes to analytics and implementing that into coaching. And I think that's something that you need. New York is very much a city that is made up of those blue-collar workers, like the city workers, firemen, policemen, all those people that really make up the heart of New York that we think of, like the meatballs, no offense, the meatballs of New York.
Well, those are all New Jersey. The meatballs.
Anyways. But, you still think of those people, like the hard-nosed people in New York, but then also they have that business side. They have that cutting edge. They have that massive market, and that's where the analytics side. I think he's a perfect blend of it, and it's just really how is he going to implement that into the locker room? And I think looking at the players in that locker room, they are still very moldable. I think KP wants a guy like this, like David Fizdale. Frank Nikitalina is going to want a guy who's going to work with him, and David Fizdale knows exactly how to use Frank's skill set. At most, maybe he's a Rajon Rondo, maybe he's like Mike Conley, just a little worse of a scorer. I think that's the top end of a Frank Nikitalina, and that's where Fizdale's going to be able to work with him. I think this is a perfect hire for New York, and I really don't know where it could go wrong for Fizdale. I don't even know where it went wrong in Memphis, and my feelings on Memphis, how they're a piss-poor run franchise.
And that's it. It went wrong in Memphis because their front office is garbage. And I look at Steve Mills, the president now. I look at Scott Perry, the general manager, who he was the one that everyone's talking about. When he got the job, he went over to Latvia and talked to KP and was like, hey, I'm the guy now, and everything's going to be fine. You don't have to run the triangle anymore. And KP went, phew, thank God I don't have to worry about that triangle. But for me, I'm not going to relate it like, oh, this is a cookie-cutter comparison, but it makes me feel like when I talk about his style and his attitude and how he fits in with that New York culture, it kind of reminds me of early 90s basketball that I was growing up with. Like, I looked at Pat Riley, as a Bulls fan, looked at Pat Riley on the Knicks and was like, he's a New York guy. Like, that is a New York coach. That is a New York team. And, like, that's what I feel like this. Although Fizdale, like, yeah, he was born in L.A., he wasn't born in New York, but that kind of attitude, it's like, much like when Pat Riley was there, it's like, yeah.
He feels like the next
job.
generation of coaching, to be honest with you. Like, he seems like the guy kind of leading the charge.
Well, and I think one thing, too, is that even though New York gets such, like crapped on for how many bad coaches they've had, like recently, they haven't
given them chances either.
They have really hit the mark on some of these guys. Rick Pitino, I know he wasn't the right fit, but we've seen they saw the potential in Rick Pitino. I mean, Rick Pitino is an all-time great college head coach, no matter the way his career's ended.
Yeah.
Pat Riley, like you mentioned it, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. Don Nelson, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. Jeff Van Gundy is still around the NBA for a reason. This guy knows basketball. He might not have had a great career in New York, but he's around the NBA still because of his knowledge. He's still thrown out in head coaching vacancies for a reason. Jeff Van Gundy knows basketball. Let's throw out Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni wasn't a great fit with those players, but Mike D'Antoni's still a great coach. And let's even throw out my boy Jeff Hornacek. I know that he really wasn't great, but he was forced with the triangle, and I don't think he got the right cut in Phoenix. I think they still understood that Hornacek could at least do something. And even early in the season, New York wasn't looking like a bad team.
It
was until that KP injury where they started going down the line as well. And then I'll even throw Larry Brown out there. Former NBA champion. Larry Brown knows basketball.
I was going to get a little upset if you didn't bring up Larry Brown.
They know.
I know he didn't go to the playoffs in New York.
I'm like half looking out of my side and half trying to talk to the mic. But again, like I know they've had the Isaiah Thomases. They've had poor decisions before, like Derek Fisher. Like they've made poor choices. But again, I don't think that should reflect the culture. And they've found head coaches that know basketball. And Fizdale proved to me, at least in that Memphis first run, that he knows basketball. I just think he needed a learning curve, and now he's learning how to be a head coach, and now he's getting a second chance. I think this is a perfect place for him.
I'm going to relate it to this, and Brandon and I kind of talked about this on the Primetime Podcast when we looked at Jim Harbaugh this week.
Oh, I was about to say, you talked about David Fizdale?
No, we didn't talk about Dave Fizdale, but I mean, you look at the coaches ever since, let's say, Mike Woodson in 2012.
Yep.
You've got Woodson's there for 2 years, Fish is there for 2 years, Rambis isn't even there a full year.
Right.
And then you've got
Rambis was an interim.
Yeah, the interim. And then you got Hornacek for 2 years. Like, you're not going to build up a team when you have a new coach every 2 years.
And what's the common theme there? It's James Dolan. I'm just going to be that guy and say, like, you have a problem up top.
Well,
you can't address it, really. So you're stuck. So do you think that, I guess, what do you think that David Fizdale will do that will buck the trend from these guys? Because you're saying these guys aren't necessarily bad at their job, but they're not able to do what they need to do to have a winning team consistently in New York. Is it the players? Is it the draft? Is it the free agency choices? Like, because they don't have they're not in charge of all of that as coaches.
Been mostly upper management. And I think obviously Phil Jackson was a corner piece of that. And, recently Phil Jackson was a problem. And then I think before that, I know James Dolan isn't a great owner, and I think one large part about Dolan early on was that he was very hands-on. He wanted to control what was going on with the Knicks, and I think the way that he's aged and seen the mistakes that his franchise has been going on, I think that with the hires he's made recently, like Ricky brought up, the new president, the new vice president, all that stuff of the New York Knicks, he's hiring the right people, and I think he's understanding where his point is as an owner. And I'm not saying that he's going to be a great owner going down the line or that he deserves a break for what he's done in the past. But I think that James Dolan, I think that this is probably the past couple of years has been a learning lesson, at least a lesson for him to learn from. And I think this might be the push that James Dolan needs to at least understand that New York needs a change, and I think he's understanding that.
Well, and for me, like the reason why I'm not so worried about Dolan, and I don't know if I should be or not, and the reason why I say that is the guys that I mentioned that they brought in, like Steve Mills, they hired it was July of 2017 they brought him in.
Yep.
But Scott Perry, the GM now, he's a guy that was in the front office when the Pistons were making their run in the late 2000s. He was a guy that was with the Supersonics the year that they he was a part of that draft that drafted Kevin Durant.
To be fair, Greg Oden. I'm just gonna say it.
I mean, they had a choice. There wasn't a choice outside.
There wasn't a choice, but
it was like, do you want the second best player in this draft class, or do you want the rest of the draft class?
But what I'm saying is that's another thing to put on the resume. And then the last one, he was in Orlando, which, I mean, I can't blame him for wanting a job. Orlando wasn't really going to go anywhere, but it wasn't his fault that they weren't going anywhere. And then he was lastly with the Sacramento Kings, which that's another one where it's like Vlade Divac running the ship over there. I don't know how much of it was
the last
Scott
three
Barrett.
on the resume haven't been great.
And
but again,
fair,
he deserves at least a shot because again, it's early.
I think he deserves a shot, but
And
I
also,
wouldn't brag
it all depends
on
on too. Is Dolan going to be able to just back away and let these guys work?
That's what I'm saying. I think he has at least seen that he needs to step back. If he's able to step back, I think David Fizdale has a right cut. We need to wrap this up in a little bit. So just final thoughts here on the Knicks. Was David Fizdale the right choice for New York, Dave?
Yeah, I think he absolutely was the right choice. I think he's the best fit, not only with the culture like Ricky mentioned, but I think that what he can do as a head coach for this team, as far as their player development is concerned, I'm very excited to see, because on this team you don't have those salty veterans like a Gasol, like Conley, who are ready for, we're playoff worthy every single year. We need to be here, and if we're not, I'm pissed off. I'm letting you know it. And obviously, like you said, they had horrible issues with the Grizzlies front office anyway. So, that whole direction was out of just garbage. So, here, he has a young team. He's got a ton of potential. He's got a couple guys who are on contracts that are and then he's got Joakim Noah he's got to get rid of. But, outside of that, you have a number 9 pick. You have Porzingis. You have a couple of guards who you should be happy with.
Frank Amudier and Trey Burke are still under contract next year.
And Tim Hardaway, even on the contract he's on, yes, he had a disappointing year from that point of view, but at the same time, he's still a pretty good scorer. He's someone who you can just kind of let roll with the ball. I think he's in the right situation to succeed. I do. I honestly do.
Now, I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to ask a question really quick after.
All right, you better make it quick.
Right hire makes the playoffs year 2. Could we see him make the playoffs year 1 with this team?
No.
Maybe an 8th seed.
No.
I highly doubt that.
It's the East, but no.
I know the East is weak, like Dave said.
Because we don't know what the Heat are going to do.
We also don't know when
Hornets are going to do.
KP's going to come back.
Exactly.
And
that's why I'm saying
thing.
year 2 he'll make the playoffs with this Knicks team.
I don't know about that. It's a little bit of a stretch. Pretty bold there. And I know the East is weak, but also we're seeing some potential in the East. So I don't know about that. I think we'll have to see how year 1 goes.
Bookmark it for
I was gonna say
yeah,
Flashback Fridays.
But yeah, I think it's gonna have to see how KP comes back, and that's gonna be the biggest cornerstone. And also who they get in the draft. If they get a guy like Trae Young, hey, maybe that superstar will change it. But if they get like a guy in Miles Bridges, we don't know how that guy's going to come over right away. I know people hate Trae Young or love Trae Young, but also that kid's got superstar written all over him if he's able to be in the right situation. But that's neither here nor there. Let us know what you think of the David Fizdale hiring down in the comments below, or tweet at us at @MostValuablePod. But anyways, let's jump into our favorite topic here on the Fast Break Podcast. We're going to be talking about the dampest of dudes, the soggiest of shooters, the moistest of men. These are our wet boys, guys that had stupid stat lines. We want to talk about them here in this topic. Give them the love that they deserve. And Ricky Widmer, give us your wet boy of the week.
Well, I'm going to start off with first-time wet boy of the year. I don't even think he got a regular season one, and it is Sir Draymond of Saginaw.
Draymond didn't get one?
No, he didn't get one the whole year. You didn't list them off at the end of the year?
Just KD and Steph, I guess.
Yeah, just KD and Steph were the only two. I think Clay might have gotten one. I don't know if Clay got one.
Who did?
Clay.
Clay might have.
Clay got one, but I know Draymond for sure didn't.
Quinn Cook was in the running.
He was, actually.
But triple-double this week, 60% from the field for Draymond, and already I know this doesn't count for wet boys tonight, but hey, he's continuing. He's got a double-double right now, although Warriors are losing as we're recording.
Well, and that's one thing I want to throw out there. I jinxed our boy Victor Oladipo last week. I said he'll be a wet boy if they win the series because he had a triple-double on the 27th, and they clearly didn't because they're not in the playoffs. So you might have just jinxed Draymond Green there.
No,
Dave,
I don't think so.
You have something special here. You also have a first-time wet boy, but
I
first-team wet boy as well.
That means we've just been hating on this team pretty much all year.
Well, we got a comment about that, so now they can stop hating.
That's right. This team has never had a wet boy
Never
before.
had a wet boy. So
I
Dave,
can't imagine how
comment.
we missed that.
So Dave,
Well, you get 2 injuries. I mean, come on.
Such a likable team, too.
give them the honor.
Best fan base in the world.
That's for you, Riley.
I'm going with Scary Terry. I mean, he has been so good. He has been so good since he came in. Honestly, Playoffs, he's putting up 25, 8, and 7, shooting incredible. 55% from the field, 62 from 3. He's kind of taken over King of the Fourth Quarter mantle. I'll be entirely honest. Like, he is untouchable in the fourth right now. It's disgusting.
Well, do you have
disgusting.
a stat?
Go ahead and read off.
193 touches in the fourth quarter or OT this postseason for Terry Rozier. In that span, he has 0 turnovers and an effective field goal percentage of 90%. He's third in the playoffs behind for touches behind Ben Simmons and LeBron. So in the fourth quarter or postseason, he is up there with Ben Simmons and the greatest player in the league right now, LeBron James. So unreal from Terry Rozier.
I just don't get it with this team. It's like you lose Kyrie, you lose Gordon Hayward. Yeah, getting through the Bucks, I kind of expected that. Thought it'd be before 7 games. Gave me a little bit of a scare. But then you're up 2-0 on the 76ers.
Coaching.
Brad Stevens is awesome.
Can we say the common thread over the past 2 years of a guy who hasn't gotten injured and has kept the glue on this team? Who it's been?
Al Horford.
Al Horford. And also Brad Stevens. So those are the two guys that are carrying this team. Because Al Horford also has like a shooting percentage of like 69%.
If Brad Stevens really wants to show he's a good coach, he should not even coach and just do the Steve Kerr thing.
I mean, he's freaking incredible.
Because Steve Kerr can get injured and that team still wins the championship.
Even Jaylen Brown go out there on a bad hammy and just slam me down. I mean, it was just... He had like three dunks that game, and after each one, he was grimacing like a mother. He's like, shouldn't have done that, but he still played super intense. Like, it was just, the series is amazing. Though.
Brad Stevens is going to be interesting to see where he falls on our top coaching rankings at the end of the season, because I think he's going to be pushing up for top. He's definitely top 3, but he might be even pushing for that top rank. We'll see what happens in those. So stay tuned during the offseason. Subscribe for that. But this is why you came to the video, all right? Ricky, I want you to name this video. Wet Boys, LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. Now, I know you're going to have a rebuttal, so let me at least go through my spiel before we do this, and you can have your fight back after with Michael Jordan. But I'm going to go on this. LeBron James, in the past week, 34 points per game, 10 assists, 8 total rebounds, averaging 34 points per game, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, 55% from the field, and 35% from the 3. 7 fadeaway jumpers in that last game against Toronto. 43 points, 14 assists, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. LeBron James is the greatest basketball player ever. To ever pick up a basketball, LeBron James should be seen as the greatest basketball player. Now, I'm not saying that he should be seen as the greatest NBA player, but the greatest player to ever pick up a basketball. Now, Michael Jordan is more accomplished. Yes, 6 finals, never lost in the finals.
Never lost.
More points, better stat line across averages-wise. But LeBron James is the most dynamic, most unstoppable force, and most impressive thing I've ever seen on a basketball court.
So was MJ.
No, because he's not. Looking at what LeBron can do.
Defenses were actually able to play defense against MJ, and look at what he did.
LeBron James is also more versatile defensively.
No hand check against LeBron.
LeBron guards 1 through 5.
Could you imagine what MJ could do with the hand check? Go on, Sean. Go on. I'm sorry. I said I was going to shut up.
Could you imagine what LeBron would be doing back in the 90s? He's 6'8" and 240 pounds. Nobody can stop him. The only comparable he has is Magic Johnson, but LeBron's a better scorer, a better passer, and more durable than Magic Johnson ever was. LeBron James is something that we've never seen ever.
Oh, you're pointing at him like he's right.
I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying the Magic Johnson comparison is correct.
In the NBA playoffs, since 1963-64, there have been 149 types of this game. 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Okay? LeBron James has 18% of those games. 149 times a player has recorded 30 points in a game, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. LeBron James makes up close to 1/5 of those games in the entirety of the NBA playoffs. Michael Jordan has 11. LeBron James has 27 times scoring 30 points, pulling in 8 boards, and 8 assists. LeBron James, again, he might not have the most accomplished career. He might not have those 6 finals, the MVPs, the Defensive Player of the Years. But LeBron James is the scariest player to ever pick up a basketball. And it's not close. And I'm sorry that I know you have that Chicago bias, and I know we have a ton of Chicago subscribers that have it too, but it's not close. LeBron James has a deadlier mixtape, a scarier highlight reel, and he also is just more dynamic. Michael had better teammates, better coaches, LeBron has been doing this by himself, and he's proven it.
I'm just going to chalk it up to you weren't alive back then. You didn't see Michael
You
play.
barely were too.
Oh, I get.
You were born with the first championship.
I idolized Michael Jordan growing up.
You were 9 years old. You didn't know what basketball was.
The way you watch LeBron James is the way I watched Michael Jordan. And I mean, we're going to have this debate until we're blue in the face.
What did I say that was wrong, though? Nothing.
And I'm not taking away anything from LeBron, but for me, it's Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time.
But why? What makes him so different? Because LeBron's taller, faster, better, stronger than Michael Jordan ever was.
But it's not about being better, faster, stronger.
What is it about then?
Michael Jordan dissected every single team he played against.
And LeBron hasn't? LeBron has owned the city of
Except
Toronto.
the Warriors.
LeBronto.
Oh, wait. Kyrie helped them in that finals.
Did Michael Jordan
win anything on his own?
I mean, I'm not saying Michael Jordan didn't have
Michael Jordan
teammates.
didn't have a top 50 player of all time next to him for 6 championships in Scottie Pippen. He didn't have a Hall of Famer in Dennis Rodman. He didn't have a 5-time champion in Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr next. I was thinking Scottie Pippen. Yeah. Steve Kerr next to him. I mean, he's had players around. He also had a 10-time NBA champion as a head coach. LeBron has Ty Lue.
But also that
and Byron Scott.
Also, look at this. LeBron James, when he finally got a player. I'm not going to say that D. Wade is close to being what Scottie Pippen was to Michael Jordan.
Both
but
top 50 players of all time.
He goes to Miami. That first finals, they lose. It would be like if Scottie Pippen came to the Bulls and that's like, all right, we're playing the Supersonics. Oh, we lost to Gary Payton. We lost to Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
But why does losing mean that he's a worse basketball player?
Well, I'm not saying
LeBron is literally the most durable player we've ever seen.
And this is the problem, and this is the question that I ask. Why can't we just like both and just be happy that LeBron is doing yes, I would put Michael Jordan above LeBron James, but it's a stupid argument to have because I grew up watching Michael Jordan for most of my life. You weren't even alive when Michael Jordan was kind of doing his thing.
No, I wasn't. I was alive for Wizards Jordan.
Which is not a thing.
That's not...
We don't recognize
we never have.
Well, real quick. Well, that's short-sighted. You got to take in a player's whole career. And let's look at the player's whole career. I mean, this is LeBron's 15th season. Yeah. 15th season. And he led the league in minutes, played 82 games, and had one of the best seasons he's ever had. Michael Jordan's 15th season was the last year in Washington. He played 37 minutes a game, but he didn't start every single game. He played 82 games, but he only started 67.
And what did he score? Over 20 a game still.
Okay.
At 40.
Okay. 15th season still. And Jordan took 2 breaks. 2 breaks.
Jordan got bored. Jordan got bored and went to baseball, came back, went to the playoffs. Why would halfway through the season.
Why would I care? Why would I want that, though? I mean,
he also drank and smoked daily.
They take care of their bodies way better now.
Technology, science, health, all those things have advanced so far. Jordan was just a guy playing a game, and he killed it. It's like the Wilt argument.
And this is LeBron's
numbers are
life.
Incredible. He's insane. He's the greatest man to ever play basketball.
LeBron didn't have this.
He's playing against guys who are tall as you.
If LeBron, there still are. Jose Calderon, I think is what I said.
Got a little IT out there.
Again, if
I just want to watch these.
I just want
to watch these Jordan highlights.
These aren't Jordan highlights.
Oh, they're not? I'm just seeing Bulls. Okay.
If LeBron didn't have the game of basketball, we don't know where this kid would have been. I mean, he pulled himself up from just a terrible upbringing, has been in the spotlight for the past 15 years.
It's a great story.
And has literally been spotless for the past 15 years, has only improved, and at the age of 33, there's no stopping this man for the next 6 years when he hits that age of 39, where Michael ended up finishing retiring, but LeBron's never needed a break. LeBron's never stopped. This guy's consistently been dominating the sport of basketball, has been dominating since 2007. And he's never had the help that Michael had.
I'm watching Penny Hardaway highlights. I'm done having this argument.
I mean, anyways, this is like a 15-minute wet boy.
I just think it's a pointless argument because, I mean... Michael Jordan's the greatest player.
Neither one of you is going to convince the other.
Exactly. That's why I'm watching Penny Hardaway.
But that's why I'm saying.
My story.
That's why I'm saying Michael might be the best NBA player of all time when it comes to accomplishments, when it comes to whole resumes.
But LeBron didn't go to college.
What does that have to do with anything?
So he's only played in the NBA? So how can you be the best basketball player?
Well, I'm saying,
but not the best NBA player.
I'm saying we're talking strictly basketball players. I'm saying basketball. And the NBA, I'm saying the NBA is different because you have to take the NBA. You have to take the resume, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying like it's more like the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. argument. Tom Brady, in my mind, is the greatest quarterback of all time because he's a proven winner. He has the postseason stats, the regular season stats. But some people say that Aaron Rodgers is the most talented.
Aaron Rodgers can do things that Tom Brady never could even dream of doing.
Exactly. Aaron Rodgers might be the most talented player of all time. I think that's where we're getting to this argument. That all time, Michael is the greatest player because of his accomplishments, but it's clear that talent-wise, LeBron's more talented.
You know what else Michael would never do? A team steals the ball away and he just stands there while his team goes back.
No, he'll just leave basketball because he's sick of it. Anyways, tell us who you think.
His also dad died when he left, so there was that.
And there was a whole gambling thing that happened.
LeBron didn't grow up with a dad. Ooh. Tell us who the greatest player of NBA history is, or greatest player in basketball history is. Down in the comments below. We're gonna have this debate until LeBron's around because he's never gonna have a dip. Anyways. Let us know what you think of LeBron versus MJ in the comments down below. Let's move into the third topic, and we are talking Phoenix Suns just hired Igor Kokoskov, former assistant head coach with the Utah Jazz, former Serbian men's basketball head coach as well in Eurobasket 2017. So Igor Kokoskov, the new hire for the Phoenix Suns, Ryan McDonough, the GM of the Phoenix Suns, and Igor teaming up. And we're going to be asking the question, what does the hire of Igor Kokoskov mean for the Phoenix Suns? If I'm getting the last name wrong of Igor, I'm pretty sure I'm getting it right. But if I'm getting it wrong, let me know down in the comments below. But what do you guys think this means for the draft? Because the biggest thing and the biggest link is that Igor Kokoskov was the head coach of Luka Doncic in the Eurobasket 2017 for Serbia. Goran Dragic was also on that team. Luka Doncic was on that team. So, Dave, what do you think it means for the Suns draft? Does it change what the Suns will do? Because we've been mocking DeAndre Ayton to the Suns for the past couple of weeks, past couple of mocks now.
I still think that Ayton is something totally unique that I don't know if he could pass up. But if there's anyone who knows the ins and outs of Luka's game, it's this man. Like, he has the most insight in the NBA right now is on him. So it's entirely his decision. I think that it is sort of an awesome situation for the Suns because they're probably going to get screwed in the draft and not get the number one pick. Mm-hmm. So if they get stuck at 2, they can decide if they want to go Luka or not. I think it doesn't guarantee Luka. But what I think it does is say that, like, there's a very, very good chance that they will go Luka. But I also think that that could also change to what they do later in the draft because they've got multiple picks in the teens that they could try to trade back up into one pick in the teens, and then
because that pick went back to Milwaukee.
Real quick, I do want to say I think I said Serbia. I meant Slovenia. Mm-hmm. It used to be Serbia back under the Soviets, but Slovenia.
Brutal winters, I hear.
The Slovenian national men's team was Igor Kokoskov, the head coach.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say I'm pretty much on the bandwagon. Like, buy your Luka Doncic jerseys for
you think it's
Phoenix
a lock?
Suns. It's a lock. Like, because for me, the way I'm thinking about it is, my whole thing was, the Suns need a center. They need someone to move on. Yeah. Well, if I'm the Suns now, like, if Igor wants Luka, fucking take who your coach wants. And then at 16, if you want a big man, take Mitchell Robinson. Like. And there's your first round.
Well, and we also saw Dave's last mock. I think it was his last mock, where you had him taking 3 centers.
Yes.
Right? You had him taking Jonte, you had him taking, I think, Robinson, or you had him taking Robert Williams. And then you also had him taking DeAndre Ayton at 1.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, 2 of those guys are probably going to play the 4. So.
But you had him taking bigs.
I am taking bigs because I think that's what they do because they're really bad at picking out the right one. So they drafted mass. I don't think it'll be the same way in my next mock. Clearly, I think that's going to change.
Well, now it's really... The one thing that I bring up was this a hire because of his resume? Because obviously he's been in the NBA, he's been coaching in the NBA back since 2000. He was like an assistant with the Los Angeles Clippers. Then he went and was the men's national head coach of Georgia. Then he came back 2008, 2013 to the Suns. So he's an assistant head coach there. Right. Then he went to the Cavs, then the Magic, then the Jazz since 2015. So he's been bouncing around the NBA, Igor has. But again, what if they don't get Luka Doncic? Because right now they have the best odds to get the number 1 overall pick, but let's say Memphis jumps him and they take Luka. Is this a hire because of his, at least, resume and what he's done throughout the NBA, or is this a hire because they know they're going to draft Luka if he's available, and this is the guy, again, that has the most tape on him?
I'm going to say yes and no. It's partly a little bit I'll put it into 3 categories. The first one is that he was with the Suns way back, so it's like, okay, you have that kind of, you've been here before, you know our organization. Plus, look at what the Jazz have done, especially the last 2 years. Like, I know Quinn Snyder's a huge part of it, but Igor on that staff, what they are able to do, make the playoffs last year, get to the second round, I believe, than it was this year. You lose Gordon Hayward. Everyone's like, oh, Jazz, I believe I was one of them. Jazz not going to make the playoffs this year.
You disrespected Jumpin' Joe Ingles.
And Jumpin' Joe brings them to the playoffs, and now they're in the second round. Right now, 1-1 against the best record in the NBA, best seed in the NBA. So, I mean, there's a little bit of that. So that's two of them. The third one is, and I don't know if this is true because I'm not in the front office, what if it was all along the Suns were going to go Luka Doncic? He is the number one on their board. Maybe that could have been a part of it is, hey, you know what? We know we're going with this kid. This guy's got the resume behind him the last 2 years, especially in Utah, and he knows the guy that we're going to draft.
To be fair, Fizdale was supposedly offered and turned down Suns. That doesn't mean that they weren't looking at Luka as the guy, but that's just something to toss out there in front of it. It's not like it was a whole, like, their tunnel vision on Luka, they'll do whatever it takes. The other thing is his time on the Jazz, actually, Ricky Rubio publicly spoke about how much he enjoyed working with Igor, helped him work on his shot. And I don't know what he did, if anything, for Don Mitchell, but like being around young talent like Donovan Mitchell, I think there's something he can learn and take over to working with Devin Booker on that immediately.
Well, and even then, I mean, Quinn Snyder is one of the best young coaches in the NBA right now. So, I mean, again, he has that experience of being under Quinn Snyder. He also has the experience, again, back with the Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers, the Phoenix Suns in 2008, 2013. So he's worked even with guys like Mike D'Antoni before as well. So, I mean, he has a very cultured experience in the NBA and just throughout his national experience coaching NBA players as well. We mentioned Goran Dragic with the Slovenia team.
For YouTube, this just popped into my head because I brought it up. YouTube watchers, go back to the last segment, Blog Talk Radio, and audio listeners, this is going to be right through. We were talking, I pulled up the positional rankings. Yeah. Quinn Snyder, you and I had him 8th. Dave had him 9. Brad Stevens, Dave and I had him 3 behind Kerr and Pop. You had Spoelstra at 3, and then Brad Stevens at 4. So we kind of mentioned that
going
the last time with the Boston one.
Oh, wait, so what would I have?
You had Brad Stevens at 4 behind Spoelstra.
Okay, so
where we had him at 3.
But I mean, Spoelstra's still top 5.
But you and I had Quinn Snyder, Jazz coach, at 8, where Dave had him at 9.
And where did I have Quinn Snyder the year before? I had Quinn Snyder the highest back then,
too. The year before, 2016,
I
you had him 9.
You guys didn't have top 10. I yelled
Dave
at you.
had him 11, and I had him 17 that year.
And I yelled at you.
Yeah, and then he was a top 10 the year after.
I know. I'm just saying I screamed at you because I was right. Again, you know me. I'm very vengeful, and I will say when I'm right. But again, going back to Igor, I think this definitely at least is a sign that if Luka's available number 1, or if Luka's available at number 2.
Period. I think period almost.
If
Luka's available.
If he's available number 1, when he's available number 1.
Say, yeah.
Again, if he's available when the Phoenix Suns are taking, let me phrase it that way.
We found it.
The Suns are drafting Luka Doncic. And that's the thing that's crazy to me is that, again, we say that they have a need for the center, but I think this just shows that their idea is Luka is clearly the best player in the draft, and they will fit the roster for him. And I think and I know people are worried that, it's not a playmaker, you're not putting a center that's going to take the scoring away from Devin Booker, but Luka is going to be able to open up lanes for Devin Booker. I think that's one thing that we got to talk about. So let's talk about how Luka fits on the Phoenix Suns team with Igor, and then we'll go away if we're not able to talk about if we're not able to get Luka, what a DeAndre Ayton or other players will be. So if they select Luka Doncic, whether number 1, number 2, he's on the team. How do you think he fits, Dave, with Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, T.J. Warren, all the players that they currently have on roster?
I think he fits in really well because Igor is a very pass-heavy motion offense, lots of pick and roll, very, very much in the motion of where the NBA is aiming to go and building around these teams who are having great success with that kind of a styled offense. So I think Luka coming in, already knowing him, walking in, knowing the playbook to a team, huge step up walking in the NBA over any of these guys out of college. So I think that his impact year 1 will be higher if he lands on the Suns. And honestly, like the motion, everything lines up for him, being surrounded by a great shooter in Devin Booker, a good inside scorer with T.J. Warren. And then I think that honestly, the guys who are going to benefit the most from this are guys like Dragon Bender and Josh Jackson, to be entirely honest, because these guys, Dragon Bender hasn't really seemed to have found his fit. Like he's had times where he's looked like a fluid big man and he's good hands for passing. His shot's been questionable, but like I think he'll find a role in this new offense. And then I think Josh Jackson's a guy who is honestly going to benefit the most from this because he was a guy who late in the year was like, I'm the number one on this team because Dev Book's out, and teams zeroed in on him and made shots tougher, made all of his looks worse. A guy like Luka's to be able to open up looks for him, gonna draw traffic, gonna draw attention. So I think honestly, like, it is a huge addition to this team. Adding Igor means Luka comes in the most NBA ready player, even more so than he was before.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate to myself, and I still believe, and the reason why I'm saying devil's advocate to myself is I still believe Luka is the pick for the Suns. However, I'm thinking and I'm looking at the Suns roster, and you brought up one of them, Dave, in Dragon Bender. I'm almost starting to think like what the other side of like, what if it's like, you know what, the Bender Chris thing didn't work, let's move on. And the thing that I'm thinking, well, and the thing is, that changes it
How did it not work? Just clarify that.
Here, let me get to this.
Okay.
Which would you rather have if you were a fan of the Suns, or if you were in the organization? Luka Doncic and Mitchell Robinson, because that'll be the probably best big that's available, or DeAndre Ayton, Shai Gilgeous? Because DeAndre Ayton says he wants to play the 4, doesn't want to play the 5. So he would be Chris and Bender move out of the way. Ayton's my 4.
I understand your thought process there.
Jonte could be there, but he could go before that.
First off, that's going to need a fall for Shai because we're mocking him 13, 14.
He's around that range, though. Just because we have him at 13.
Yeah,
but I mean, most likely he's going to be the third point guard off the board.
Yeah, he will be.
And I don't think it really is going to depend on Colin Sexton and who's in love with Colin Sexton.
Yep.
But Shai Gilgeous might not be there. So that's one big thing. And also, it really depends on what they want to do with Elfrid Payton still, because he's not under contract now, right? So they either have the option to bring him back or not. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't great. He was Elfrid Payton.
Yep.
For Phoenix. It's
funny you say that because this is the last one. This will all change on Wednesday. You had Shai the highest, 12 to the Clippers, because you had Colin Sexton going the pick before him to the Hornets.
Yeah.
I actually had him at 16 going to the Suns. Dave had him at 13 going to the Clippers because he had Colin Sexton going to the Hornets as well.
Again, it depends on that Colin Sexton fall, or not fall, but where he places. So I think that's
really
the biggest
Hornets
thing.
pick is what it depends on.
Yes
right
and
now.
no. I mean, like hell. I mean, the Knicks could shock us and go with a guy like Colin Sexton. But I think the thing with this is you need to just draft Luka Doncic. Again, I think you need the best player, and I understand that DeAndre Ayton is more of a need. But also, Dragon Bender is still 20 years old. And he'll be 20 years old when the season starts. And this kid still is developing his game. He's still getting used to the NBA. The fact that we're giving up on him already after 2 years is a little short-sighted. I mean,
I don't know who this we is.
Well, I mean, we're already talking about trading the kid and drafting his replacement after 2 years.
That was him.
You also were on it. You said you were on the Dragon Bender, Marquise Chris, get out of
Well, I would try to pair Chris plus the 16 to move up, or plus whatever you need to move up in this draft. To be entirely honest, because I think.
So what you're thinking? Like, who are you trading up to get? What spot are you trying to?
I think you try to jump up to get the best chance at Bamba Carter. Like, if you land either one of those guys to pair with Luka, then you're in business. Then you're just flat out in business.
Especially if it's a team like the 76ers that don't really need a draft pick. They don't really need a top 10 guy, and you can maybe say, hey, let's work out a deal where you still get a pick, but we get to go up and grab a guy like Carter or Bamba.
We give you a chance at a redemption project, and he's still a young player, but Marquise Chris has a defensive IQ of a box of rocks, so I don't know. He's still got a body to play in the NBA, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's no saying that he's not going to develop eventually. It's just a matter of he hasn't turned out on the timeline and met the expectations of the pick he was supposed to be.
Box of rocks.
Have you watched him try to play?
Yes, I have.
They did take two of the youngest players in that draft. Marquise Chris, still 20 years old, can be 21 in July 2nd. He's only about a month older than I am.
Yeah.
And I don't know how my defensive IQ would be.
Don't call him a kid, though, Sean.
But also, again, these two guys haven't had stability in their head coaches.
But had
Earl Watson was fired right away.
Yeah,
and they had Earl Watson for a year. Clearly, he wasn't cut out to be an NBA coach right now.
Right.
So they weren't getting the best guidance. And then you get Jay Triano, who wasn't able to take over that job.
Time to the point where we should have seen more growth out of him.
Oh, I'm not saying
Bender was obviously injured, and then this year he had some time, but I saw enough there that I'm like, I could see him working in Igor's offense, and there's potential there for the fit.
But also, at least offensively, Marquise Chris has the body, he has the athleticism, and if we're running strictly pick and rolls, he can get up. So again, he might just need to be fit into the right system. We've seen this plenty of times before.
Possible.
Again, you're not going to fix defensive IQ, but you can at least coach a player to understand where they need to be defensively. You're not going to teach a person tenacity. You're not going to teach a person how to be a great defender, but you can at least help them and guide them. And if Igor Kokoskov, a guy who, again, has the resume to be in the NBA for the past 16 years, is the first European NBA head coach to be, to ever be graced with the NBA head coach position, it's definitely something to be, what?
Was David Blatt?
European-born.
European-born.
Okay. I think he was Brooklyn or New York.
I was just thinking like coached in Europe, and I'm like, did David Blatt?
No.
We had many coaches from Europe.
Yeah.
But
Blatt was Boston
European
or New York.
born, though. Okay.
Yeah. First
That's
European
why I gave you
born.
that look.
we got to asterisk that shit.
Yeah. But again, he's the first internationally born head coach. So I mean, you're still taking a shot at him, but again, you're taking a shot at a guy who has the resume, who's been working with NBA talent since the 2000s. Like these are guys that at least can help grow and guide players, and we've seen the growth in Utah Jazz players, guys that we really didn't believe, and we saw what Donovan Mitchell on athleticism alone could turn into. Marquise Chris has the body and at least athleticism to be something. I'm not saying
Mitchell was
great.
more than just athleticism.
No, I know, but I'm saying at least Marquise Chris, again, has the athleticism and body to be possibly a starter at best. I mean, maybe he's not going to be a star like they possibly thought when drafting him, but he could be a starter if put in the right system.
But I mean, would you give up 16 Chris to get to 10 maybe? Or would you give up 16 and TJ Warren to get to 7 or 8?
No, come on. I'm
I know
not
you love
giving up
TJ
Warren,
but he's a bench player.
Yeah, but he's the best bench player in the NBA.
I don't. Whoa, you're way wrong. But you're way wrong.
Maybe, but
Wouldn't you say Gordon from the Rockets
it was
the
a
best bench
joke.
player?
Relax.
Okay, I'm just saying. But
He's got a weird love affair
for
with
me,
TJ.
the thing that's going to change this, and I'm going to jump the gun a little bit. Sorry, Sean, is if they don't get the number 1 pick, because I feel like
if they get sunsed,
I feel like what's going to
Should make that a
happen
t-shirt.
is like if they get number 2, fine, it's kind of the same situation, but we don't have a choice of who we want. If they go 3 or lower, though, let's say they do go 3, well, then it's at that point, it's I'm going big. I'm going either Bagley or Jackson with that first pick.
Let me just throw this out here really quick.
Because they're not going to go Trae Young.
We consistently talk about them trading up. We're using the 16 and 15, right? I think those are the picks they have. 16, 15.
It's
Now
15.
they just have the
Or just
16 because the second pick went back to the Bucks.
Okay, so they have the 16
The Bucks
pick.
did too good, man.
Yeah, they have a 16 pick. Why wouldn't they be able to say, hey, we want Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is the guy we need. We have the head coach for him. We have the most scouting on him. Why wouldn't they trade up and get the centerpiece? If that's their guy, why couldn't they be able to package and get their guy? Again, I'm not saying it's the right.
I would take the 2 picks.
Again, I'm not saying it's the right move, but it's a definitely possibility. I don't think we should throw that out there. That if they think Luka's the guy, they might trade up and get him, especially with the head coaching hire.
If there was not a guy like Shai Gilgeous that low, I would be all for that. However,
but Luka's not the same player.
No, I know that. But for me,
they don't even play the same position technically.
Well, Shai Gilgeous is a combo guard. He can play 1 or 2.
Yeah, but Luka's more of a 3.
But the thing that I'm looking at is if I'm a Suns fan, if I'm in that organization, I want both those picks. So for me, even if I am a 3 and I don't get Ayton or Doncic, I will take one of the bigs, Jackson, Bamba, or Bagley, and then at 16, I'm targeting a Shai Gilgeous. I'm targeting a Simmons, a guard for my backcourt.
But we have talked so much about how this is a top-heavy draft, right?
Yes.
How really outside of, I mean, even Wendell Carter, even though he's a top 10 pick, like we consistently talk about that guy having a ceiling of being a good starter, but possibly not being a star. We talk about Mikal Bridges being a 2, but never a 1. Miles Bridges, he could be a great 3 option for you, but we don't really see a 1 on him. Colin Sexton might be a good guard, but maybe
basically
top
Bledsoe
12.
light.
Exactly. We look at Trae Young. Is he really, going to be a star, or is he too small for the NBA? Michael Porter Jr., he might be hurt, and we don't know what he's going to be. Mo Bamba, is he just a body? Why not go up and get the biggest star in the biggest star-studded draft we've seen in years? Why not do that and get the centerpiece of your franchise? And also,
because Dev Book's the centerpiece.
Luka, I think I'm saying if they go up and trade draft Luka number 1, he becomes the centerpiece. Here's the thing: is we look at the potential on this team and the recent draft picks. Dragan Bender, a top 10 pick. Marquise Chris, a top 10 pick. I'm not saying these guys are going to pan out.
Just because they're in the top 10 doesn't mean they're going to pan out.
But they saw the potential in them, and they're still 20 years old. Josh Jackson, again, still very young. You look at T.J. Warren, a good bench piece that you already have solidified. Devin Booker, one of the best young scorers. Why not get a facilitator to help fit into Igor's offense and move it around? I'm just saying that is a possibility that might happen. We talked about the Suns having a ton of potential. Maybe you just need a guy to tap into that potential, and maybe they think Igor is the guy.
This is what I would rather do. If I'm the Suns and I'm sitting at 3, let's say worst case scenario, they're sitting at 3. With that 3rd overall pick, I go with whichever big I like best. Jackson, Bamba, or Bagley. Whichever one you like better.
Which one do you think fits best?
For me, I would probably go with Bagley because like Bamba's a 5 for me, and I'm saying that because the second part's coming. I'll wait for it, Sean. I go with Bagley because he's a 4, and I like him a little bit better than Triple J. Then what I do is at 16, I say, you know what? Let's target that 76er pick, maybe the Knick pick, trade either Bender or Chris along with that 16 to then move up to then get like whether you want a 3 like Mikhail or Miles or like a number point guard like Colin Sexton. That's what I would do then. Get my 4. Okay, now one of Bender and Chris can be expendable because now I have 3 there and I can use that 16 to trade up.
Got a 5.
Well, I mean, Tyson Chandler is still under contract.
For one
what if
more
they
year?
just kick that can down the road?
Okay, but you're
worry
still going
about
to have a
next year?
draft pick the next year.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
What if they just
I mean,
kick
like,
that can
why
down the
does this
road?
need to be the draft then, Dave? Because you're saying
why
like
draft anybody?
No, but
it can always be next year.
what do you mean? But
Is that the motto for the fucking Suns now?
but
No,
are the
it's the
Suns?
Kings.
But are the Suns also?
I think it's shots you say.
But all the Suns, like, I mean, do the Suns need to hit on the obviously they need to hit on this draft, but do they need to hit on a 5 on this draft, and that means their franchise is fucked?
No, I don't think that. Again, I think they're
Like, why is a
probably
5
best off.
such a big need for them, Dave? Like, that's what I'm trying to get at.
It's a giant hole, and it's in the center of their team, and they can't stop anybody who's driving to the rim. It's sort of a problem. Like
Do they
Tyson-
not have a ton of cap?
Well, they do.
DeAndre Jordan's out there.
They could make an offer for Jordan.
He's going to take that option.
I'm of the opinion that they should take a swipe at Aaron Gordon. To be entirely honest with you.
But what should they like? What not motive? What ammo do you think they have to at least go out and get an Aaron Gordon? Because that's going to cost a little bit. Because that guy right now is the best player on the Orlando Magic.
Yeah. No, I understand. I'm just saying they've got people who have potential, which is the magic word for this Magic team, because and plus you got the Magic Suns connection. Like, I'm just saying there's a line there that I can draw. I think that he would be able to come, and he's still young enough. You guys, I know we haven't talked about him at all, but like Brandon Knight's still on this team. If he comes back from this injury with any sort of talent, like he's
not the
locked
talent,
under
it's just
contract
the
though.
injury.
But he's locked under contract for 2
I
more
understand
years.
that,
So.
but like, this kid's never healthy. So that's why I'm not putting Brandon Knight in there, because I don't know if he's ever going to play.
He's gonna play.
But for how long? 2 games and he gets injured again?
Just a hater. No, I don't know. That's fair. I mean, it's fair.
But
has
like,
been
what
injured.
ammo do they need to get a guy like Aaron Gordon? That's what I'm trying to get to. Because you say Aaron Gordon might be a nice fit, but like, how is that going to work? Are they going to have to give up that 16 overall pick and a Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris and probably more? Because again, those guys aren't really needs for the Orlando Magic positional wise. Are they going to give up Alfred Payton and send him back?
It's the last
Sign and
year
trade
of Aaron Gordon, pretty much. So that's the thing, is his value might be right for them. So they might be able to do, like I said, like a Chris and TJ. Like a something like that, the 16 and one of those guys. Mm-hmm. I think the Magic are in a place where if they don't like where they land in the draft and who's available there, I think they would consider an option there. That's all I'm saying.
for Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be interesting, but I go back to this team and I look at the Phoenix Suns. Draft, I think the biggest need for them is just a facilitator. I understand they need to fill out that 5 spot. Like, I get it. But again, if Luka's on the board, you have the connection with Igor. You put Luka offensively at the 1, Dev Book at the 2, Josh Jackson at the 3, and you have 2 young guys. I understand they haven't been really shown out, but if they're made options offensively and they're in the right system where they can drive to the basket or Dragan Bender can shoot from the outside in the corner, at that 4 spot, they can still be viable with the right coach. And at the 5, I understand Tyson Chandler isn't sexy anymore, but also Tyson Chandler still isn't a terrible basketball player.
No, he's
and
not.
Also, you still have cap room to go out and get a guy like DeAndre Jordan. You still have cap room to go out and
You
get
can toss
some
an
of these-
offer to Clint Capella and try to piss off the Rockets
You have-
because there's no way with their offseason plans. You
No,
know?
the Nets got that covered.
No, they don't actually.
They don't do that?
They don't have enough money
Oh,
this
okay.
year.
Yeah. I mean,
Usually
they,
they're the team that does
they
it.
took on Mozgov.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
And they took on Alan Crabb, too.
Yeah.
Like, again, there's guys out there that they can fill that 5 spot. I think the biggest need is facilitator. You
Yeah,
have
it
the
is.
more surefire thing in this draft right now with Luka
Sean,
Doncic.
I don't think anyone's arguing.
No,
with
I
you.
know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to. We got to wrap up the segment, so
Here-
I'm trying to end on a strong note.
Here's
Dave.
the last thing I'm going to say, and this is going back
Whining
to
Ricky speech.
This is going back to what it is right now. They're the number 1 pick right now. That's what I'm going to base it off of. If I'm going number 1, I'm going Luka. Then at 16, I'm going with like a Mitchell Robinson. I'm going with that center. Then in next year's draft, depending on where we are,
They trade for Kawhi.
No.
Oh.
I'm assuming the Suns still suck. Sorry, Phoenix, and they get Zion Williamson. There's your 4, and he's the power forward.
I don't
I don't
think
know about
they'll-
Zion at a 4. He boy's like 6'6", right? Well, wait, is that 6'6" with shoes or without shoes?
I don't know, 6'6", 270 is listed as power forward on here.
I don't know, but
Fat.
it's a big boy. I don't know about that. He's defensively he looks like a
Then
stud, but
fine, you
we'll see how he
draft
does
a
this year.
Jonte Porter, and then you draft Williamson to be your center.
I'm not shitting on your ideas. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know what Zion will do, but
I don't know if they're going to be bottom. I don't know. Do you think Luka plus whatever their other pick plus free agency makes them a top lotto team again?
I don't think so. I think that pushes them down to 10, possibly. I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on the direction, but I think Luka can change the direction of a team.
I totally agree.
Especially with Devin Booker, who I think is a possible top scorer in this league, with one of the better bench scorers in the league, T.J. Warren, one of the better young two-way players in Josh Jackson.
They've
And
got
two
a
guys-
lot of positives.
Two guys that are pretty much clay right now, and Dragon Bender and Marquise Chris. Again, we don't know what these guys can be, but they're still very young. I don't know. I like Phoenix. I love the hire of Igor, and I think this is the right direction, and I have faith in Ryan McDonough. I think Suns fans should be optimistic. That's the point I was trying to
Absolutely.
make. That's the point I was trying to end out strong. Tell us what you think the Suns should do in the draft. Are they going to get Luka? Should they go DeAndre Ayton? Or are they going to end up with a Josh Jackson, or not Josh Jackson, Jaren Jackson, a Marvin Bagley Jr.,
Will they get
a Mo
Suns?
Bamba? Yeah, let us know down in the comments below. All right, let's move into I think this is the 4th topic now because we have Wet Boys in the middle. So the 4th topic of the podcast, a 5-topic podcast.
It's my fault, man. It's my fault. Decided to do
it's a
something
treat.
on a whim.
Don't,
treat for those
don't forget to
basketball
check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. I don't think I've mentioned that before, but we're also going to tell you to go check out mostvaluablepodcast.com. The link is in the description. Ricky wrote an article. He can also write, not only talk,
I know,
but he
it's
can also
weird.
write.
He is talented.
He wrote 5.
I had Sean proofread.
He writes, edits, and contributes across the board.
Wasn't too bad, but go check out Ricky's article on mostvaluablepodcast.com. The 5 potential trade options for the Spurs, the Kawhi Leonard version, because it just says Kawhi Leonard trade, 5 potential trade options for the Spurs. So the 5 potential trades for Kawhi Leonard. So go check out the 5 that Ricky ranked. This is more of a topic, though, about which major market should trade for Kawhi Leonard. Ricky, I don't know if you want to really go too deep, but you kind of mention a major market. Well, all of these are major markets in your article, but which one do you think should trade for Kawhi Leonard?
Well, the one thing I will say, the only thing I'll mention deeply about the article is all 5 of them are major markets. Like that's the one thing I tried to do. And for me, it's I'll hit the double dandy, L.A. Like no matter what team it is, one of them I feel like needs to get Kawhi Leonard because the Lakers we talked about earlier with LeBron James and the Knicks. It's like yeah, the LA dream is kind of alive, but LeBronzo's not what it was. I'm not on that bandwagon anymore. I'm more on the LeBron to Philly bandwagon. And then the Clippers, it's like you just missed the playoffs. You have to do something to get you into the playoffs. So for me, that's if I'm looking at all the markets, that's the one that needs to get him, is one of the LA teams needs to get Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing to remember with this is it's a trade. It's not free agency. Kawhi doesn't have an option in this. So, yes, he would like to go to one of those teams, but at the same time, it's whoever can throw out the biggest haul. And a team like the Clippers with Jerry West, he's kind of known to wheel and deal, get things done. Made the big move of shipping Blake out of town. So, I'm not sure ammo-wise what they've got to make it work, but I like the chance for either one of the LA teams to do it.
The trade that Ricky does throw out there for the Clippers, at least, it does make sense. The one that he did throw out there. I mean, it wasn't too crazy. We talked about it a little bit in one of our Kawhi topics. The one that I want to throw in there, I know it's technically not a major market.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Can I guess it?
Chicago North. What?
Dallas.
No.
Oh, okay.
Swing and a miss.
No, it's New Orleans.
No.
Charlotte.
No. Stop guessing, because you're not going to get
Golden
it.
State.
It's not a
Miami.
It's not a major media market. It's never known for media. It's known for coal, baby.
The Grizzlies.
No, stop guessing.
Coal.
It's Cleveland.
Oh, Cleveland.
It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because what's the biggest media market? It's wherever LeBron James is.
Oh. Yeah.
Who's been the biggest focus on NBA media for the past 15 years? LeBron James has been.
That's a fair point.
Cleveland does
True.
have the ammo at 8. It doesn't matter about the major media market, because I don't understand that. LeBron's been talking about going to a bigger market, but that's for his business.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the media, because LeBron's in Cleveland's going to get as many national games as they're going to get as long as LeBron's on that team. They have the ammo. Why not go out and get one of the best two-way players in the NBA right now, Kawhi Leonard, with that 8th overall pick? You might need to tag on a couple of other
sweetener,
guys.
but,
Maybe
yeah.
a C.D. Osman. Why not? Who doesn't love a good C.D. Osman? I think that's a pop guy written all over it. But I think it's a perfect fit for Kawhi Leonard and the Cleveland Cavaliers. You get a guy who's young and can take a load off of LeBron James. He can also play defense on the better player, a la KD in the finals, when LeBron doesn't need to. He can guard a Draymond or a Klay Thompson. He could take off that pressure of LeBron James. And Kawhi Leonard doesn't need to be a creator. He's a good shot taker. He's a good scorer. But you can have LeBron James to create with him, and pairing that with Kevin Love, oh boy. So technically not a major media market, and that's why you didn't include him into the article.
I almost did.
Okay.
I almost did.
But again,
and
LeBron James, wherever you follow him, cameras will follow.
That's the reason why. I almost, when I was writing it, they were the third trade down, because I came up with the trades before I did anything. And the thing with the Cavs I just find hard is, you mentioned K-Love. Obviously, the Cavs aren't going to want to trade K-Love, so take him out of it. I don't think that the Spurs are going to want TT, so take him out of it. Then you have the only 3 contracts that would need to be the base for that.
Before, can I jump in real
Go
quick?
ahead.
I know one of them. I think it's George Hill. How
is.
Yes.
fucking
Return.
full circle would it be
If he went to San Antonio.
went
back.
But the first trade, how they
True.
got Kawhi was George Hill.
Yeah.
It was George Hill for the 15th pick, and then
A
take
wing
Kawhi.
for George Hill.
Be funny. It would just be funny to see that.
George
full circle.
Hill's one of them.
Yeah.
Jordan Clarkson's another one because his contract is kind
young
of
player.
inflated. And J.R. Smith. I don't know if I'm the Spurs. I want any of those guys.
I don't know. I mean, I think George Hill
Because all
fits
of them
their
are
system.
also locked
Yeah.
down for 3 years.
Yeah, George Hill fits their system. I think the guy that probably makes the most sense, I think he's also the cheapest, correct me if I'm wrong, is Jordan Clarkson. Because
He's also younger, too.
yeah, he's younger,
Yep.
more of a scorer that they don't really have at that guard position, because DeJounte Murray, very good young guard, Tony Parker, an old player, Manu, an old player. They don't really have that go-to scorer. Jordan Clarkson has proven at some points, especially in Los Angeles, that he could be a guy that puts up 20 a night.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I mean, I'm looking at it, though, and I'll ask you guys this because I'm dealing this right now in my head. If the Cavs went to the Spurs, ring, pick up the phone.
Hello.
Hey, Pop, what's going on?
Nothing, Kobe.
I've got a trade for you. Jordan Clarkson and Kyle Korver along with our top 10 pick. Would you take that if you're the Spurs?
Well,
Or,
again, I
if, or
don't-
if you're Cleveland, are you trying to swap picks?
This is a different topic. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know the
Well, the
Kawhi
only-
Leonard situation.
The only
so it
reason
depends how
I'm going,
desperate you are about
and
Kawhi
the only
Leonard.
reason I'm going into this is I didn't talk about this one.
If it's a must trade for Pop and you're getting back Clarkson, Korver, and a top 10 pick.
Possibly even top 8 or 5, depends on. Well, not
Yeah.
5,
Well, it's
but
top 8 right now.
top 8 or top 3, depending on how the lottery falls.
I mean, they're both good pieces. I don't know necessarily that he cares about bringing in Korver. Yes, good role player, would be able to fit in no problem. It's just the question of
Doesn't play defense.
where is this Spurs team at then? Because it's built on LaMarcus Aldridge. So yeah, the 3-point shot of Korver would be good. I don't know. The value might not be there though. Just that 8 pick on its own is concerned. They may need to toss in a future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I don't think. But if they're getting Kawhi Leonard, I don't think Cleveland would be afraid of throwing in a future.
Yeah.
Because that means you're going to be pairing up 2 of the best players, 2 top 10 players, possibly even 2 top 5 players when healthy, and Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James together. So that's another one that I want to throw out there. But don't forget to check out Ricky's article.
I wanted to pitch one last question.
Yep.
And I know this is going to go a little bit long. I
Yep.
just wanted to ask you guys.
Yep.
What do you think if there is a trade? What's the timetable? Because they don't need to trade him this offseason, but if they get close to that trade deadline, will it be a PG situation where it's like, shit, we got to get rid of them, and they get, like, the PG trade was Victor and DeMontis for PG?
That was before
That was preseason.
That was preseason stuff.
Was it?
It was before everything started.
Because, I mean, with the Kawhi thing,
That was
though,
when Presti was gifted the god of the
right.
offseason.
Well, it wasn't
'Cause
PG
Kawhi-
before Melo.
He was.
and the reason why I bring that up is this offseason they don't need to trade him. But if I get close to the trade deadline, if I'm trying to get Kawhi, then I could maybe try to lowball the Spurs because it's like, fine, keep him. We'll get him next year.
I think if a trade happens now, or if a trade's going to happen, it's going to happen
happening
now because
Draft.
because of the draft. You
Yeah.
can reload, but then also if it doesn't happen now, that means they want to take him into the season. So that means they
Which
feel like he's
means-
going to play,
yeah.
which means they probably either patched it or have a working relationship.
Yeah, so I think really the draft is sort of the night of the year where teams really kind of say, this is exactly what we're rolling with into the next season.
Exactly. But don't forget to check out Ricky's article down in the description below. And also tell us where you think Kawhi Leonard's best landing spot could be if he is traded by the San Antonio Spurs. But let's move into the final topic here on the Fast Break Podcast. However, I think if I understand Ricky correctly, this is the first one on YouTube. So hello to everyone on YouTube. If you listen on Blog Talk Radio still, thank you so much. We had one of our best months last month in April, so we want to give a huge shout out to everyone on Blog Talk Radio for supporting us there. And we want to thank everyone on YouTube as well. One of our best months on YouTube.
They helped the Fast Break just set the bar even higher for the audio listens.
And on
Yeah.
YouTube, just as total, we've been killing it at Mosaico Podcast. So thank you to everyone over there. But let's go into our yearly tradition of looking into our crystal balls and predicting the NBA lottery. It's taking place in 10 days, 20 hours, 6 minutes, and 47, 6, 5, 44, 43, 42 seconds. We're going to look in and try to predict who's going to have the number one overall pick when it comes to the NBA draft in June. Ricky, I am going to go to you first because you already have your
already
answer.
said it.
You've already said it on the podcast. Again, put on the tinfoil and tell us why the Chicago Bulls will be the number one team after the NBA draft lottery.
All right, so I'm not as fired. I feel bad. I'm not as fired up as I was when I made that proclamation earlier in this year. It wasn't that much earlier. It was
I
like
think
a
it was
month
2
or
months
two
ago. I mean, that's the thing is you've been sitting in it and you've accepted it.
The reason why I was so fired up right then is because I was editing the Outcast podcast, and in that segment for the NBA or for the Bulls, Juice said that he was like, oh, the Grizzlies are getting number one pick, the Bulls aren't going to get it, and I went, no. We complied with the league. They said, you got to play your starter. We said, no, we're trying to tank. Look at all these other teams tanking. Because we complied with the league, they're going to be like, fine, we're going to throw you a salad. They're going to give us the number one pick.
I mean, wouldn't that be like,
It's gonna be
they
a little-
literally called us out for tanking? I feel like
Yeah.
they wouldn't turn around and hand us a free number one pick.
Again,
Well,
hold on.
it's because we listened to them. We all go, all right, there's a little bargain here. We won't tank anymore. You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. Major market not tanking. What are you going to do for us? Because we'll just tank that if you
Real
don't.
quick. Let's. Do we feel like the NBA? We
Yes.
always have this. Is it rigged?
Yes.
We forgot to bring the tinfoil tonight, boys. I feel embarrassed. We needed props.
Is it rigged?
I need to get this man a
Carrot top.
captain's hat.
Carrot top.
Yeah.
Is it rigged?
It seems that way at times, man. I don't think every year is, but I think some years are.
I don't think last year was rigged, right?
Probably not. But I mean, like the Cavs getting
2 years in a row.
Yeah, that was after LeBron leaves. You get number one.
But
Wasn't
I
it
mean,
Dan Gilbert's son and then MGK the next year? He was the
Something like that,
special
yeah.
guest that they brought along.
I don't know. I don't
think every year, but I think some years.
I believe the 1985 one with the whole frozen envelope with Patrick Ewing, and we bring
Yeah.
this up every single year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think again, I have too much faith in the NBA where I could say this is rigged. Like I don't think there's clear collusion for teams to be gifted the number one draft. And I know there's some people out there that are like, oh, they want to give it to big markets. You know, why would they want to give it to Phoenix or Memphis? They're small market teams. But also, let's look at every single team in the playoff right now. Utah, killing it. Houston, bigger market. Golden State, bigger market. But then also, let's look at the biggest markets in the league right now. Brooklyn, not in the playoffs. New York Knicks, not in the playoffs. Los Angeles Clippers, not in the playoffs. Los Angeles Lakers, not in the playoffs. Dallas Mavericks, not in the playoffs. Chicago Bulls, not in the playoffs. Most of the large markets aren't in the playoffs, and the NBA is still thriving. So I think we're getting away from it doesn't matter who has the number one pick anymore. I know you have that connection of, stop tanking, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll give you the number one overall pick. But also, Chicago's still selling out. People still love the Bulls. People know the Bulls are going through a
'Cause
rebuild
Chicago,
stage.
we're loyal.
And also,
we're loyal AF.
And also, Chicago fans have been going through rebuilds. White Sox doing it right now. It's still a Reinsdorf team.
A rebuild or a retool?
Rebuild for both.
Okay.
Also, with the Chicago Cubs, they went through that for a couple of years. Bears right now going through it. Blackhawks did it as well. So Chicago's used to rebuilds, and they've seen the results it can yield.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's really that was a wink, wink, nudge. We're going to give you the number 1 overall pick. I don't think this is rigged. And if I'm just looking at the odds, if I'm looking at everything from the past, Phoenix has had such terrible luck. I think this is finally Phoenix's year. And I think the hire of Igor, not saying that they knew that they were going to get the number 1 overall pick. That's why they hired Igor. But I think just it's finally Phoenix's time to at least get the opportunity to right the ship. And I think they're going to have at least enough luck, not only with the 25% odds to get the number 1 overall pick, but I think it's finally their year not to fall down to 4. And Phoenix will finally break the streak and get a number 1 overall pick.
See, now the thing that I think about is, and I know I'm going into the NBA is rigged kind of a thing. Like, I'm going to look last year.
But why is it rigged?
Well, I'm going to look last year just as an example. If you look at the odds for the number 1 pick, that's the main ones I'll do.
Yeah.
Boston had the highest. Phoenix had the second highest. Phoenix even had the second highest at 55.8% to at least have a top 3 pick. They drafted 4. Like, and I get that some people might say, well, that's just how the lottery worked. But I feel like if there was like, and it was all happenstance, don't you think Phoenix would have had the ball bounce their way once already? And we wouldn't be making the joke earlier about, well, Phoenix are just going to get Phoenix.
But then what do they have? What do they have against Phoenix? I mean, they're just
not
have
a big
terrible
market.
luck.
They're not a big market. They're not like. Do you think? Put it this
But
way.
Cleveland's also not a big market. Cleveland's like 19.
But I mean,
LeBron James made them number 1.
Exactly.
But LeBron
like you
James
said,
wasn't there.
whatever team LeBron could go
But
to.
LeBron
He was
wasn't
from
there.
Cleveland.
Huh?
He was from Cleveland. He was getting drafted.
That was
to
also,
Cleveland.
I'm pretty sure, again, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time LeBron James was the first time they were the number 1 overall pick.
Well, I mean, look at the Derrick Rose.
At least in the
draft.
lottery.
Derrick Rose
in the lottery
from
era.
Chicago. Like, there's a lot.
We
of
missed the play.
Okay.
We were the first team to miss the playoffs. Got the number 1 pick.
Who's right now? Who's been the number 1 overall pick that we've been mocking to Phoenix? Ayton. Where's he from?
He's from Arizona.
Both from the college and from the hometown. There we go. We got the hometown connection too.
Here's the thing I'll go back to. Just last year as an example, because we don't have that crazy hometown thing to look at.
I just gave you one, Ayton.
I know. I'm looking at last year because I'm not on it.
Oh, you're
the
talking
Rose
last year.
thing.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing I'll ask you. Fultz, Ball, or Tatum, do any of those guys make the Phoenix Suns a playoff team?
No. God, no. Like the past year?
This year that we just saw. Do any of those 3 guys move the needle for the Suns?
Fultz was hurt. And then Tatum, I think, has thrived because of the system in Boston. I think he's still a great player, but I think he's done as well as he has because of the system. And Phoenix was so tumultuous with Earl Watson.
Think about this, and I'm using last year as...
Ball would have been interesting.
I'm using last year as the reference,
think Lonzo
but
puts
think
him in the
about
playoffs.
this. Boston, obviously, the trade happened, so that's why they didn't pick number 1. But the reason why the league would want them number 1 is, hey, you know what? The East is crap. We need some team to be the, what's the word I'm looking for? The main number 2 to take on LeBron James, so it's not just a LeBron James cakewalk in the East. Let's make the East a little bit tougher.
Toronto doesn't count.
Yeah, let's make. They're proving it though.
LeBron.
They're proving it though, because I mean, I'm going to say this for 2 seconds. Toronto fans, I gave you the benefit of the doubt that this is your best year. You are proving, your team is proving that you can't beat LeBron. So yeah, you are correct.
You know why he can't beat LeBron?
Why?
Because he's the greatest player to ever pick up a basketball.
Or
he has more playoff wins than Toronto has as a franchise.
Or he is the meteor to their baby dinosaurs, as Colin Cowherd
He's
would
the
say.
meteor to every single team besides the Western Conference.
Besides the Warriors.
He's beat him.
Think about it though. Well, Kyrie beat him.
No, LeBron beat him. Who had a triple-double in the NBA Finals.
Kyrie
Get out of
final
here.
shot.
Okay, who had passed him the ball? Who set him up? Who had the defense draped over him because it was LeBron taking over in that game?
Kyrie hit the final shot, though.
Who hit the final shot for the Bulls in the last game?
MJ?
Steve Kerr.
Oh, the very last game for Jordan? MJ.
Well, okay, one of them was Steve Kerr.
One of them was also Paxson, so yeah, you can say that. But back to what I was saying. You give Boston a number 1 pick. Ooh, it looks like it all chalked up because they were supposed to get it. Then why do the Lakers get 2? Back to Sean and what he was saying.
They had the second highest.
Lonzo's no, they didn't. The Suns had the second highest.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Lakers get 2 because who's sitting there? The big baller brand, Lonzo Ball, LA kid going to LA. There's your theory right there. That could be why maybe
Well, they
Phoenix
always
gets
seemed
it.
linked. Like, no matter where they were going to go, we always felt Lonzo was going to go
But how do you for sure take that?
You lock it in.
You lock it in at number 2. And then the not the Phoenix Suns, the Philadelphia 76ers. Another up-and-coming team that, hey, you know what? We're building up Boston. Let's build up the 76ers. Let's have maybe 2 teams that could try to take on LeBron and make the East tougher. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened.
I wasn't exactly a fan of Philadelphia after he kind of pushed out the
I know
GM
that, but it's like, what are you going to do? You going to shun that franchise? Or are you going to say, you know what? We need to make the East tougher some way, and we got to do it to make it tougher.
Interesting.
I mean, you could look at that draft alone and see why that happened.
That was Conspiracy Talk 101
very
with Ricky
conspiracy
Widmer.
talk.
Dave, thoughts
He's seen some shit.
on that podcast?
I don't know if he's on anything, but he's seeing some things.
There's chemicals in the water. The NBA draft lottery.
lizard people.
Adam Silver is a pawn put in place by the NBA owners.
Yes.
Go buy our Nutrivitamins. Can block out Adam Silver's radio waves going into your head through the ESPN broadcast.
This is no longer the fast break. It's info
The NBA
break.
is going to take over Toronto and literally rename it LeBron. LeBron's going to be the mayor.
I don't even want a mic.
LeBron's going to be an owner.
No, I want Sean to keep
You know what? Alex
I
knows the whole
can't go
time.
anymore because I'll actually start getting
Before
red.
Dave does talk, I saw a meme on Facebook.
I don't even get to
You know who Alex Jones looks like? Bill Dotrieve from King of the Hill.
Oh.
From King of the Hill.
Okay. Anyways,
Bill Dotrieve.
let's
What were
get
you
back to
gonna
the
say, Dave?
NBA draft lottery and the predictions, and not the NBA
I
draft lottery conspiracy.
I was right on it until you.
You went
brought
on
up
for
Alex
5
Jones.
minutes about conspiracies and you give us a prediction.
Oh yeah, the Bulls. I said that right away. I said the Bulls are getting the pick.
But there's no hometown connection.
But
What's the connection?
what
What's
I'm
the conspiracy
No,
there?
no. The conspiracy here isn't the connection. The
Yeah.
conspiracy here
Is
is
big markets?
The league told us, "Hey, stop tanking." We said, "What are you going to do for us?"
All right.
They're going to give us the number 1 pick because we did what they said.
After all of that, what are your thoughts, Dave?
it hurts my brain. Where are you going with this conversation?
Then
It
take
really does.
me to a better
A
place.
saner
Dave.
place? All right, so Philly goes 1, Phoenix 2, Cleveland 3. We're just ruining the NBA
Is it
here.
just because you hit sim lottery and that's what
I
came up?
simmed so many times to get this, I don't even want to be honest with you. I want either Philly to get the 1 or I want Boston to get the 2-3. I want it to happen so badly. Could you imagine
if that happened?
Could you imagine if Boston walks away with a
with
pick
Marvin Bagley? If they got the 3 and got Marvin Bagley?
disgust. I don't even know if they take Bagley. It just would like.
Well, it's either him or Triple J, right?
Exactly, and a rebounding big whose defensive presence down low.
All
like,
right, you kind of said or Mo Bamba. They could take him too.
Terrifying. So yeah, I'm thinking we just go all in and just say, yeah, let's give it to Cleveland and let's go Boston. Let's continue to build the East. Build the East.
Well, giving
Boston,
it to Cleveland isn't building.
That means they're gonna
East.
trade the pick though. That means
I
they get
guess,
Kawhi.
maybe. Yeah.
I literally just simmed the lottery, and this is how it's going to pan out. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Cleveland might trade the pick, but I think the 8th overall pick is still worth it. And I think if they're going after Kawhi Leonard, it still might happen if Kawhi is in such a dangerous aspect. We don't know what that situation is and what the relationship is. But if it's that dangerous and that tumultuous, as it's been reported by Adrian Wojnarowski, then they should be trading Kawhi Leonard. This is how it's going to line up: Phoenix at number 1, Memphis at number 2, Dallas at number 3, Atlanta at number 4.
I follow you.
Orlando at 5, Chicago at 6, Sacramento at 7, Brooklyn, but traded to Cleveland at 8. Number 9 has New York. 10
Didn't you say the same
via the
thing
Los Angeles
last year?
Lakers to Philadelphia. Charlotte picking at 11. Hold on, here's where it gets crazy. Detroit's pick got sent to the Clippers in the Blake Griffin trade. They're going to be picking 12. Then Los Angeles going to be picking at 13, and then Denver picking at 14. I simmed the lottery, and that's exactly what gave it to me. I didn't click reset. It gave me that.
But didn't you say that last year that nothing was going to change? And
you were totally off.
What? I mean, I was wrong about 2
no, I'm
picks?
saying last year, didn't you say that, everything's going to stay the same?
Okay, I also bet my car. Like, guys, sometimes
lost it.
things get wrong. And I was like,
Lost
what?
it.
I missed
Before
4.
the podcast
out
even went on.
out of 14 picks, I missed 4, right?
That's not a great percentage.
It's not amazing.
Whatever. What'd you say? Did you get it perfect?
Me? I don't freaking remember what I
That's
said
a
last
flashback
year.
Friday that I don't know.
Yeah, the Bulls are getting number 1 pick though this year.
Dave was getting the number 1 pick.
Flashback Friday when I'm right.
Here, real quick. Who's the top 3 then?
The top 3.
So Phoenix falls out?
Phoenix falls out. They're going to be at 4. I'm going to say.
Phoenix.
Do you want my real conspiracy or my honest what I think it's going to be?
I want whatever that means.
Whatever you want to do.
Just
Rick.
give me 3 fucking teams.
I'll go Bulls at 1. Bulls at 1, Sacramento at 2, Memphis at 3.
All right. How's that going to play out then? Who goes where?
So it'll
The
be
1, 2, 3. Give me a top 3 mock draft.
So who's going to go where?
Yeah, who the Bulls taking at 1?
Bulls will probably take.
I mean, you had
Luka.
2 months to think about it.
Bulls will probably take Luka, but I would prefer DeAndre Ayton over Luka. Then you have Sacramento. If Luka's there, would go Luka, and then the Memphis Grizzlies will go Marvin Bagley.
You said Bulls are taking Luka though.
Me personally, Garpax will take Luka. I'm going Ayton.
Okay,
me
so
personally.
Ayton to the Bulls.
Doncic to the Kings, and then
Bagley
to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Dave, give me your top 3.
My top 3 is I'm going Phoenix at 1, Boston at 2, Orlando at 3.
Orlando, and I almost wanted Orlando in the top 3.
So how's that going to pan out?
Phoenix
Pick-wise.
takes Luka. Right or wrong, it is. Boston walks with this draft with DeAndre Ayton.
Or do they trade the pick?
Or they could trade the pick.
What would you do?
If I'm Boston,
Trade the pick.
I don't know.
It depends who's interested.
Think about it.
The haul for a 2 could be pretty good.
But what would you want?
They need.
What do they need?
Technically, they need a 5.
Okay.
The best 5 in the league
What?
is not worth the potential of DeAndre Ayton.
But what I would say is,
Could they trade? And
hold on.
I'm sorry, Anthony Davis. Who am I kidding?
I don't. But are they going to get rid of him?
No.
I don't think they're going to get rid of him.
They won't.
think
Here's
about
the
it.
thing. Hold on.
Memphis is at 4. Why not swap the 2 and the 4?
No.
Marc Gasol
No.
goes over to
No.
Boston.
If I'm Boston, I want
No.
DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah,
stick
I'm with
with
you.
the timeline.
I'm with you. I'm sticking
And
with
here's
Ayton.
the thing. I think
No, I'm
DeAndre
saying
Ayton
if
there.
you wanted to trade.
I think DeAndre Ayton there is perfect though.
Exactly.
Because think about that lineup. You have Kyrie
disgusting.
Irving. You have Gordon Hayward. You have Al Horford, who I know again is small for the 5.
But
then you can
Al
push
Horford is
Ayton
a
out to the 4
maniac.
where he wants
Exactly.
to
He
play.
could play at the 4. He also doesn't need to start right away.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Tatum's in there. Jalen Brown's in there. Scary Terry's in there. Oh my God.
So deep.
Insane.
So
It's
deep. And then
absolutely
Orlando
disgusting.
at 3 gets to take the boy at point guard that they were promised for about 6 months of doing this.
Yeah. I know we
6
have
months.
a ton of Orlando Magic fans, so tell me what you'd feel
If
if
you
you got
got
the
3.
3rd pick and then Dave's picking you to take Trae Young.
Here's a question. How would Jake feel if this played out and Boston got that Laker pick?
He'd be hurt. Seriously.
And they got
Especially-
DeAndre Ayton.
No. It would only be improved upon by Boston beating them in this series going
Yes.
on right now.
Without Kyrie
so you
and
lose
Hayward.
the series
And you lose the
to a
Lotto.
team without their best 2 players, and then you lose your Lotto pick.
Well, and arguably,
And he's not going to be on the podcast until after the lottery.
This is from Philadelphia 76er great, Dr. J.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you get the better player in the pick from last year in Jason Tatum
Christ.
over Markelle Fultz. Just saying, you'd beat him 3 times in a row.
In 1 year.
yeah.
In 1 year.
Here's how I simmed it once. I like the way that this. No, I don't like that way. This is the way I liked it. All right. So this is how it's gonna pan out in my mind. All right? I'm not gonna go away from the lottery. My top 3, and this is how it's gonna pan out. There's gonna be 4 changes, like there was last year. Atlanta gets the number 1 pick. Phoenix gets the number 2. 3, Memphis gets the 3rd pick. 4, Dallas gets the 4th, and then 5, Orlando. 6, Chicago. Down the line, it's the same.
All right.
Here's how it's gonna pan out though. Atlanta's not picking number 1. Phoenix trades the 16th pick, moves up to Atlanta, takes Luka Doncic. Then Atlanta takes DeAndre Ayton at 2 because Phoenix is afraid. They want Luka. They think he's going to be a franchise changer.
They're
We
gonna
laid that out.
Trubisky'd.
Go check that out in the Igor Kokoskov topic that we just did. I think Phoenix needs Luka. I think it's a perfect fit. They're going to go get Phoenix. That's why Atlanta's going to move down, take Ayton, and then at 3, Memphis is going to take Bagley because I think he's a game changer.
What would you do?
Especially for Memphis.
What would you do if this happened? I clicked Sim Lottery until I got one that was interesting.
Yeah.
Hawks get the 1st pick.
Okay.
The Clippers move up 11 spots to get the 2nd pick.
Jesus.
Memphis at 3, Phoenix at 4.
What do you do with that Clippers
I don't know. I
pick?
feel bad for Phoenix. Clippers, I think they take it.
Well, I think
think they take it.
Atlanta, would you go?
But that's the question.
Would you go
Who do you
Doncic
take
or
at that
Ayton?
point?
Oh, who I
Because
take?
Atlanta's got to decide who they're going.
For Atlanta,
I think
would you
Atlanta,
take?
I'm
I'd go
taking-
Ayton.
I would go Luka.
I'm going to go Luka.
then what do you do for the Clippers? You take Ayton, or do you go with like a Michael Porter Jr. because you'd want a 3 over a guard or a?
Nah,
I'd take Ayton.
I would go. Yeah, I go Atlanta, Ayton, or no, I'm sorry, Atlanta, Luka, Clippers, Ayton. Yeah,
and then Memphis goes Bagley or Jackson.
Triple J. Yeah,
and then the Suns are stuck at 4 again.
Here's one.
Wait, so if that happened, if the Suns get pushed to 4 and that happens,
They're taking Bagley or Jackson, whoever's or Mo Bamba.
Do you think
I would say Bamba or Porter.
Ooh.
Because again, going off potential,
Yeah.
So Porter, plus we're gonna see what he does at the combine because Porter, Jonte, and Michael are working at the combine.
Wonderful.
So
but you said Robert Williams and
Ayton are not working at the combine. And Luka isn't. He's not even trying out with. Yeah, he's not
still
trying.
Playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
he's
gonna be
man
busy.
are still playing basketball.
He's gonna be busy with
Shots.
his job right now. It would be funny if he was like busy like working at a grocery store over in Europe and not like playing basketball. Yeah, basketball in the EuroLeague. But again, here's the interesting thing that I wanted to throw out there. And I think whatever you guys just said made me forget it. So great. But again, we've been pretty much just simming lotteries and just saying, let's see what happens.
Except for mine when I said the Bulls are going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we made bold choices. I think Phoenix is going to get the number 1 pick. Even though I just said Atlanta like 3 seconds ago. We don't know what's going to happen. Even though we don't know what's going to happen, what would you rather have? Again, this might be a stupid question in some people's mind, but I'll try to explain it.
Would you rather?
Would you rather have the number 1 pick, would you rather have the number 1 or number 2 pick, or would you rather have the 3 pick? Because this has been a discussion that we've had that consistently the number 3 pick for the past, I think, 18 years, the number 3 pick has always been. It turned out to be 2 of the best players out of the top 3 players.
Either 1 and 3 or 2 and 3 have been the better of the 2 players chosen there.
And one's either
three.
And one's either busted, or 2's either busted. And we look at the
I think
top
there were
2
2
players.
years where the 3 was bad, but
And we've seen that at least in the top 2 players, DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic, we understand that they have the most potential. But Luka's biggest knock, and we've heard this from YouTube commenters, is that he's not athletic and he's not going to make it in the NBA. And I understand that we've all said that he's probably the safest prospect because he has that mentality. He's been playing basketball since he's 13 years old. He's a professional already.
Just
and
to say,
Ayton, real quick, we've seen that big men without the defensive mentality, which he showed in Arizona, really don't pan out to the NBA.
I'm just going to say for the commenters, I am almost on their side, but not completely. I don't think Luka's going to be a bust, but I am not sold on him completely, and I like Ayton over Doncic. Choose between the 2. Yeah.
Watch your big board so you can see that.
Yep.
But I mean, for me, I would say give me the 3, and the main reason why has nothing to do
over
with
the 1 and 2. Isn't it so weird to say that?
No. And the reason why is think about, and I'll throw the NBA draft into it. Is Jay Glazer was on the Herd before the NFL draft?
Yeah,
and he was saying that they're talking about Cleveland. He goes, you know what? They're probably sitting there going, Josh Allen's our guy here on Monday. We came up with our board over the weekend. Josh Allen's our guy. But then by Tuesday, oh no, Baker's our guy. And they're just going to fight with themselves to who's the number 1 on the board. Give me the 3rd pick. Let you take who you want. You take who you want. Then I'm kind of forced to just whatever. This is what I had. And it takes that pressure off of it.
While we're talking about the unanimous 1-2 between Luka and DeAndre Ayton, the number 3 is not unanimous by any means. There's like 5 guys in the running.
I mean, most people have Bagley going.
But also imagine if Porter's healthy. He might jump up to that 3 spot. And also, hell, if he's healthy, we saw that he was the number 1 player.
1-2.
We saw that he was the number 1 player coming into college. If he's healthy, and NBA players think he could be a franchise changer. Again, we don't know what NBA guys are thinking. If people think he could be a franchise changer, and they take him at 1, then you get a Luka Doncic or DeAndre Ayton because they just how the draft falls to you.
Yeah, no, I think the one thing you can kind of take away is no one knows what these kids are going to do at the next level.
No, we don't.
We're taking stabs at the dark based off of past experiences and what past players have shown.
And what we've seen on tape as well, what we've seen from these players.
Yeah, no, we're basing it on, this person's had success doing these things, looking like this, with this same body shape. So... yes, there's a science to it, but it's not an exact science.
Well, and we also don't know how these guys will react to the NBA, and we are not doing interviews with them.
You get stuck on a head coach that doesn't, run a system that works for you. You get stuck into developmental hell, like on the Magic. Like you don't know what can happen.
Well, and another thing is too, we don't know what these players are like, what their drives like, everything. I know people, go and say, "Well, look at Josh," like just using the NFL draft. Like, go look at Josh Rosen's interview with Rich Eisen or with Colin Cowherd. It's media. It's different than personality
They want
when
you
the
to
cameras
see
are
that.
off. Exactly. That's something that they're presenting. And people might say, well, that's a job interview. They're going to be presenting themselves in the best way as well. But also, NFL teams, NFL scouts, and NBA teams as well have seen the common threads. And if they're pushing and pressuring these guys, they're going to see how they break down. So it's going to also depend on interviews. I just say it's interesting to say, though, because you even look back at the NFL draft that just happened. At 3, Jets get Sam Darnold, who I thought was one of the better franchise quarterbacks, one of the guys with the most potential to be a franchise quarterback.
But they didn't have to make the decision.
They didn't have to make the decision.
Yeah.
And they got possibly the best player at the most important position at 3, and they didn't do anything besides trade up. So,
Yeah,
I think
what's the most important position in the
something
NBA?
can happen.
Point guard, shooting guard.
I don't think so. I don't know. I wouldn't say shooting guard.
Someone who can shoot.
Twang.
I would just say it's a star.
Point forward.
It's a star because it doesn't matter because we've seen that Steph Curry is the most important player on the
Oh my God,
Warriors
he is a game changer.
before KD. I mean, even with KD,
Guys, someone who can shoot. Trae Young. He's it.
Watch Trae Young be the best player in this draft.
it could happen. It could happen. Like again, like Luka Doncic.
We all give him garbage about being
Luka
like
Doncic
Steph
might be a 16-year NBA pro, but he never might make an All-Star. Like he might never be an All-Pro, a first-team All-Pro. DeAndre Ayton might not ever play defense and might just turn into a one-way player. We look at Trae Young. Again, he might be a one-way player, but he might be able to hide that on a good team and just absolutely ball out like like Steph Curry has. Also, Michael Porter Jr. Again, he has everything talent-wise to do it. As long as he's healthy, he might be a star too. Mo Bamba. Again, I love his body.
There's a handful of guys with that.
If he's able to work on
potential,
if he's able to work on a shot, then and just
Which he
become more
already
consistent.
is.
Yeah, Mo Bamba could be the best player.
You've got the template for Mo Bamba. It's Joel Embiid.
Well, he also likes Joel Embiid too.
Yeah. So, anyways, let us know your NBA lottery predictions down in the comments below. Again, it's tough to kind of pan this stuff out because there isn't really a guess. This is why people play the lottery and consistently
There's an
lose.
answer. It's all a guess.
You gotta be looking.
We have this segment for conspiracy theories. Let's be honest.
And also, it does pretty well.
love
People
it.
like to
Yeah.
hear. our
Next year, I'm
conspiracy
bringing
theories.
actual tinfoil in for us.
Next year, we
and
should
then
get.
you're going full Alex Jones.
No. Next year, what we're gonna do is we're doing our own lottery.
are we?
I'll bring in.
Yes.
I'll bring in a bingo
Yes.
thing.
Okay.
I'll bring in a bingo
All right.
lottery, and we'll do it because this was 29 minutes. We could do a lottery in 29
Yeah.
minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll do it on segment, and then we'll do a mock draft.
Okay.
All right. Let's do that.
Yes.
That's gonna be next year. Hell, maybe
All
we'll
right.
do it next week. If you want to see that, let us know in the comments down below. And this is gonna really depend.
Let's save it for next year. Let's put that into development.
Again, let's see what happens.
I don't want it to be rushed, is what I'm saying. I
We'll-
want this to be
We'll
as special
see what
as it
happens.
can be.
Let us know down in the
Postal
comments.
lotteries Wednesday.
Let us know down in the comments below. Why not? Well, who cares? Why not? Just let us know down in the comments below whether you want to see a true live Lotto and mock draft.
It'd be so cool.
Down in the comments below. And also, this would be good because we'll see if people are actually staying this long to listen and watch this video in the 29th minute. But anyways, it's going to wrap up the Fast Break Podcast. For Dave Oster, Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Check out Ricky Widmer's article on mostvaluablepodcast.com and the MVP shop over at mostvaluablepodcast.com. Also, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on iTunes, the Onside Kick, the Primetime Podcast, the Rick and Johnny Podcast, and the Fast Break. And also don't forget to check out Buzz and Juice on the Outcast. Danny Parkins of The Score is going to be on their show on Wednesday. But again, for these two bozos and me, we will see you next time.